And we are live. Now, good morning. There's always a couple of seconds of delay before it shows live on any of the devices. So, good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Jeanne. I'm so excited that you are here with us today.
Oh, thank you so much.
I have been looking forward to this for weeks. And I was shocked when I first contacted you and you told me you had never been on a live before.
No.
And I was going to be your very, very first. And so that just made me so happy.
Well, I'm just glad to be here. And I hope some of my subscribers are here. I told them to join up today at 11. So hopefully some of them will jump on and maybe throw a chat in the chat room there. And we can answer questions or whatever you want to do, however you want to do it.
Sure, that'd be wonderful. And hey, good morning, Tracy. I have mine set for where they have to be a subscriber for at least 10 minutes before they can comment. Because we've had a lot of trolls in our lives. Mm-hmm. That is, there's advantages and disadvantages with lives. And one of the advantages, I think, is the interaction. The viewers get to ask questions. We get to know more about you. I like the spontaneity of it. I know that scares a lot of people, but I do like the spontaneity of it. Although with spontaneity comes IT problems, camera problems, all kinds of issues.
And trolls.
Trolls. Yeah. Trolls is one of the downfalls to a live.
Yeah, I see some chats on there.
Yeah, we got some folks chatting in. Tracy, good morning, Samantha. Yeah. Good morning, Karen. Good morning, Natural Creations. And then one of the also advantages is after we finish this, the live is always there. People can come back and watch it later. So that's
a lot because I miss the lives. It depends on what time of day it is. If I'm really busy, I can't watch. And I watch the replays for hours because I'm diamond painting and you can kind of listen to something when you're diamond painting. You don't have to participate too much. Every now and then I'll write a comment and it's kind of fun because they answer me. It's so cool, or I can just be silent for 2 hours and I can just be watching. And it's kind of fun to watch everybody else talk to each other and chat and all that. So I watch a lot of lives, but mostly they're replays. Most of the time it's a replay. So I watch the Yarny Sisters. Is that the name of it?
Yeah, they're so fun.
They are fun, and all three contribute a lot to the channel. It's not just one person with two extras. It's
right.
All three of them really contribute to the live stream. And they actually, as Linda told me, they get together and have a meeting or two before they do a live, and everybody says what they're going to do, and it's all very choreographed. I had no idea. But it's always very easy to watch because there's lots to look at. A lot of projects that people are doing and showing and all that. So it's a nice one. I like that. And that's easy because you have three people, and if one person doesn't feel like doing much or is sick or has been sick, and, they can still be on there and it's not just one person doing it. That's why your channel and my channel are difficult because we're one person and we have to hold the whole thing up. We have to, plan everything and know what we're going to talk about. And it's much more difficult to have your own YouTube channel, but it is fun to watch the triples and quadruples, get on there, and it's a lot of fun. The knitting channels have a lot of that.
They do. They do a lot of collaboration.
You're a knitter too, right?
I'm a struggling knitter.
A struggling knitter. I'm a non-knitter. Right. I've knitted a little bit, but it was so pathetic. I just saw holes everywhere and I just got whatever. I'm going to learn though. I promise I'm going to learn in the next little while. I'm not sure how many months it'll be, but I have so many ideas for things to do and I can't do them because it's knitted work, very, as you know, crocheting is much heavier, takes a lot more yarn. And when you make something, it weighs twice as much as a knitted garment. And that's what I want to try. I'd like to try knitting because it's so much lighter, especially for summer sweaters.
Yeah.
You have to work hard to find a yarn that, like, this is that Dottie yarn. It's a Premier. It's very lightweight. Yeah. And I made a sweater out of it. And there's a lot of Dottie yarn in this thing, like 2 skeins, big skeins. I mean, 500 yards. And it's pretty light. I have to say it's pretty light, but in a knitted garment, it would be weightless. I mean, it would be really light because the yarn itself is very, very light. So I've talked your ear off. You go ahead.
No, you're fine. This is all about you today. I'll just take one quick second to say hello to everybody that's come in. And those of you who are new know that when we've got a guest, the guest is our focus. So I don't always say hello to everybody. And after a bit, we'll do questions. And if questions pop up during the show, we'll grab one of those and throw them up. But we do have our focused on our guest. And so I'm not ignoring. And when I go like this, I'm saying hi to everybody. So that's just kind of how we roll here. But I did want to say with the knitting, you use less yarn and it takes much longer. So I know
that. I'm so impatient. I don't know if I could do it. I try to finish my sweaters overnight. I just
that's not happening when you knit.
That is not happening. Okay.
No, and I see these people who are speed knitters, and they've got like this much done in an overnight process.
Wow!
And because when you're talking about using the lighter weight yarns, you're also talking about using lighter weight yarns. You're going to be using your 1s and your 2s, and sometimes your 3s.
Mm-hmm. You mean like DK weight? Is that you mean weights of yarn? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, where we do so much of, I think, and this is a bit of a generalization. Good morning, Bonnie. And I think Bonnie is a knitter. I think she can pipe in and let us know as well. But I think when we crochet, I think we tend towards the 4 weight. And when I'm seeing knit sweaters and things, I'm seeing them tending towards the 3s and the 2s. Do you agree with that, Bonnie?
I do. I do. Yeah. I have really vacillated toward DK weight crocheting of late. Now I've got a fall lookbook coming out and it's got several patterns in it. And I've used all the way from 5 down to 3. So I've tried to be varying in the yarns that I use. I don't want to use all 3 weight or 2 weight, but I like the bigger yarns for crochet, sometimes for unstructured jacket or a cowl or something like that. But I do tend toward DK. I think when I order from Knit Crate, which I know is one of your favorites, I've been watching your channel, and I love Knit Crate. Of course, I'm not an affiliate or anything. They don't even know I exist, but I make stuff out of Knit Crate all the time. Mm-hmm. And
their yarn is simply glorious. I mean, their yarn, the Knit Crate yarn is just, where else are you going to be able to get camel and cashmere and silk and all those amazingly beautiful fibers for the price that they're offering it to us at?
Yeah, right. Even with shipping, it's well worth buying a Knit Crate subscription, not sponsored, but it's well worth buying one, even if you just have it for a few months and you can kind of get an idea of what they send out, because the yarns are so much more luxurious than what you can find at Hobby Lobby or anything. But although I don't have anything against Hobby Lobby, Joann, Michaels, all the big box stores, Walmart even, they sell Lion Brand, which is a wonderful brand. I love Lion Brand. Comfy Cotton. I saw one of your videos this morning as I was getting ready, and you were talking about Comfy Cotton, and I bet I have 10 cakes of that in my stash. I'm looking at it. I've got the gray and the red and the whipped cream, which is
the whipped cream. It's my favorite.
You can make a garment out of whipped cream, Comfy Cotton, and it is absolutely gorgeous. In fact, I will say, if there's somebody on here that writes to me all the time and she says, when are you going to put that blue sky sweater pattern out? And I made a sweater out of whipped cream Comfy Cotton, and it was a top down sweater, and it had some blue color work on it, not anything difficult. It was just changing colors really. And I passed that up and I went to another pattern, and I kind of put it in the back of my mind. And she's been kind of reminding me that I never did publish the blue sky pattern, but it is made from the whipped cream Comfy Cotton. And I put it on the other day, and it was a little heavy, but it was so comfortable, so soft. And I do love the Comfy Cotton. I've made lots of things from that. And I just think it's a good line brand. I have lots of their yarn. I'm looking over at my stash. I have a lot of their yarn in my stash, but Knit Crate is number 2. I bet I've been a monthly subscriber for 2 or 3 years, and I've never put it on pause. So I've gotten something every single month, and a lot of it's still in my stash. But it's beautiful, and I go over every now and then. And I feel of it, and it feels so nice.
Yeah.
And I think I need to make something out of that. Or I'll have 1 skein or 2 of a fingering weight, and I think, what can I do with that? And I think, not a darn thing till I learn to knit. I can knit a hat or something out of it. You know?
Well, with fingering weight, and this is what surprises me, but I think this is the case. And Karen of KB Fiber, she's a fantastic knitter. She's who I go to for all my knitting questions. But with 1 skein of fingering weight, you've got a pair of socks. With 2 skeins, you've got a shawl.
Wow. That's right. That's right. They make shawls out of like 2 skeins.
I know. And I'm sorry, usually I'm roasting over here, and I'm always yelling, "Where's my fan? Turn the
Where
fan
do you
on."
live, Robbin?
This morning
What
I'm cold.
state do you live
We're in Washington State, so it's still hot in the daytime. It's still in the 80s and 90s in the daytime, but in the morning we're in the high 60s, and that's too cold for Robbin.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet.
I got my blanket on, and I'm like, I'm dressed for the day, but it's still too cold for what I'm wearing.
Well, at least you can crochet or knit the shawl and the blanket.
I do too. People say, "Oh, I can't knit or crochet in the summertime. It's too hot." And I'm like, no.
I can do it just as well in the summer as the winter. I enjoyed it more in the summer because I can sit in my chair and just be barefooted and just crochet away and not have to be all, bundled up.
Yeah.
In the wintertime, we keep our house pretty cool, and I have to bundle up in the morning when I have my coffee. I need a shawl. So I go in there and find a crocheted shawl to put on in the mornings. And, all during the day, I'm looking for a sweater or something that I've crocheted. So I have you can probably see them back there. That's one of the racks of prototypes that I've got. I have 4 racks like that. Wow. And they're a plethora of things to wear now, summer and winter and fall and spring. It's wonderful to have, but I had to bring them out of my closet because they were taking up too much room.
Oh, that's funny. Well, and you're quite the prolific crocheter. And I was actually wondering, you can't possibly wear all of the things that you make.
Well, I go to church every week, so that's 52 sweaters a year.
Yep.
And I also, I'll go out to lunch or something like that. I always wear something crocheted. When I meet up with some girlfriends for lunch or something, I always wear one of my crocheted tops. So, I have plenty of clothes to wear. But I try to figure out what I could wear best to wherever I'm going. And I pull them off of this rack right here.
Oh, that is nice. So I am actually working on my first ever crocheted top for me. And Darla, who just popped in, Darla, the Crafty Yarn Owl with Darla, it's her pattern. And she swore up and down that I could do it. And it's coming along nicely. Although, Darla, I'm having a problem. Look at my email. I've messed up. I see
the top down with comfy cotton. Is that the one?
Yes. Yeah. That yarn is just a dream to work with. It feels so nice because it almost looks like it's going to be kind of rough, and it just feels like just the softest yarn while you're working with it.
What size hook are you using, Robbin?
No, I don't know. And that was one of the questions I've got for you, Darla. It says to change hook sizes, but it doesn't tell me when. So I think I'm using an H-I-J-K. Maybe it's a J, because I think we start with one size and then we use a bigger one to make it a little loosier. So I think I'm using the J right now, and that's my next size. But I'm also surprised at how far I've got a pillow behind me here. I'm also surprised at how far one cake of yarn has gotten me, because I'm always all the way down to under the bust. It's a
are you okay?
raglan.
Yeah,
I'm down to under my arms, and I'm still on my first cake of yarn. I thought it was going to take like 5 of them. but
Probably a couple of cakes will do that. Is
yeah.
it a short sleeve sweater or long?
Yeah, it's going to be short sleeve. It's just like
Yeah.
you do the raglan. So probably the sleeve is right here. And then we just do like a little finishing round on
2
it.
cakes should do that. And the comfy cotton,
Even
not
with,
okay.
yeah, usually with my size. And that's the other thing that throws me. It takes almost a blanket quantity of yarn for me to make a full size sweater,
It takes a lot, yeah, for a full
and
size sweater.
that's one of the reasons I have shied away from making sweaters, because it takes so much yarn. I keep thinking, I don't want to buy 1,500 or 2,000 yards of yarn to make a sweater. I can make a blanket out of it. And apparently, blankets are my thing. I didn't realize it until I started looking at all of my patterns. And every time I go, "Ooh, that's beautiful," it's a blanket. And I probably have 50 blankets on my list right now. So,
I'm not much into blankets. I lose my impetus about halfway through. You know, I've also got the Persian tiles, Afghan, about
oh,
halfway finished with the Persian tiles. And it's a very cool thing to do. It's a small hook, which I rarely use, a small hook and kind of small yarn. And I really enjoyed making all the tiles. I haven't made them all, but I do them in rows, you know, like I do all the round ones and then all the round twos and then all the round threes. And I just stack them up so that I'm not making one and then making another. I'd never finish if that were the case, but it's still in a project bag and I haven't finished it yet. So blankets for me are very, very tough. I have 2 now in the works and on the needle, on the hook, and I really don't know when I'm going to finish them. I have a lot of things on my list of things to make, but they don't include the blankets. And so I struggle with that. And maybe this winter I'll get busy on it because it'll be kind of fun to sit down with all that. But I have so many designs in my head that I cannot break away to learn knitting or to do blankets. Those are 2 things that I would love to do, but I'm pushed for time as it is, you know, because I write patterns to go with what I make. And so obviously, so I have to take photos. I have to make sure the patterns are right. I have to make the prototype. I have to do a video. I have to, you know, and that takes a lot of time to get that out the door and then start on something else. And I've usually got 2 or 3 projects going at one time. So blankets they just take up a lot of my time. And I'd love to have a blanket. I have some of my mother's Afghans. In my living room, and I use those every winter, and I just curl up in them, and they're so wonderful. And when you make a blanket for somebody or a shawl for a hospice person or a shut-in or an elderly, they can feel the love that you put into the blanket or the shawl. Because I think when you make something, your love is crocheted and knitted into that garment, and it never goes away.
Right.
Whoever they give it to or whoever inherits it will feel that love that you put into the blanket or the shawl. And I love to make prayer shawls. I used to do that all the time before I started this video channel. I made a lot of prayer shawls, and it was so much fun to give them to someone and have them be grateful for it. So those are the crochet worthy people and the knitting people as well. So,
and I love gifting to, and this is a little bit sexist, but I love gifting to the little old ladies that can't crochet anymore and can't knit anymore, either because their hands or their eyesight, and they appreciate
they would be
the
very
things that we've given them.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's funny, you know, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I know our kids are tired of our crocheted items. They're like, no more. I don't need another hat. I don't need another scarf. Even my daughter has said, no more blankets. Well,
where's she going to put them? Is she grown up?
I give her about 10. Yeah, she's all grown up, and she's got 3 littles, and she's got about 10 of my blankets. And then they've got another grandma that crochets. So they get a plethora of blankets. But I did give them one for Christmas last year that they loved. I crocheted I did Afghan stitch. What do they call it? Tunisian. I did the Tunisian.
Oh, wow.
Have you done that before?
I have. I haven't made anything with it. I know how to do it, and I've done, swatches and stuff, but I've never made anything with it. So you did a
Well,
blanket.
I made a full size. I did a full size blanket, but I wasn't smart enough to do the full blanket. I did it in squares. I did 250 squares.
Oh man, that would just send
and
me
then
out
sewed
the
them
door.
all together because I wanted it to look like a crossword puzzle. So then I did a border on every square in a different color and sewed them all together. And in the squares, I did their names. And so it looked like a crossword puzzle of their whole family name. Beautiful. I will never do that again. Never.
I hope you got a photo of it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I can't show it to anybody because my daughter is very, very sensitive to the internet and the kids' names and all of that stuff. So, and it's got all of their names and their last name, and it's got all of that. And so I can't show it to anybody.
That's too bad. That's too bad. I bet it's beautiful.
It is beautiful. It really is. But here
but
lately,
you use the Tunisian to do the squares. Okay, because I wonder how you would do a Tunisian to make a very wide blanket.
Oh, you just go. You just go. Because you can buy a Tunisian hook with a cable on the end. Where's the camera?
Yeah, and I've got one, but it's only about this long. Well, let me get my fingers.
You can get a lot of stitches on there, but you can get longer cables too.
Oh, you can. Okay, I didn't know that. Do you have some that are interchangeable? Can you buy Tunisian hooks that are?
You can.
Yeah.
But because it's like typically, like I've got a friend. I don't know, Miss Terry, are you on here this morning? I've got a friend who that's all she does is Tunisian. She can do other stuff, but that's all she does is Tunisian and blankets. And she makes a couple of blankets every year, and she uses the Tunisian. And I've seen her make a crib size blanket just using her hook.
Really?
She just crams those stitches on there and then works them off. And she's done football team pictures. And what is she's doing cats right now, a cat design. And she'll just buy anything with a chart, and she just in her little head converts it to Tunisian, and off she goes. And she has taught me, and I'm like, okay, I can't remember. So a year later, when I go to do it again, I'm like, Terry, what do I do? And she's like, I already showed you that. Yeah, I know. Just show me again. So.
Well, Glenda at Creative Grandma is quite the Tunisian.
I know.
Well. And I didn't know that until I don't know, 6 months ago. And I went on her website. She had some Tunisian patterns. And I thought, I can't start another project right now. And she loves blankets. She does a lot of blankets. She also does a lot of other stuff too. I had a book here. I don't know where it went. I guess I put it away, but it was a book. No, I don't have it. It's a book of her dishcloths and towels for the kitchen. You may have seen it. It was advertised in Annie's catalog. I was just like blown away when I saw it say Glenda.
Right?
What is her last name? Glenda.
I can't remember. It's just Glenda.
Yeah. Her name was on there, and I recognized it because a while back, maybe 2 years ago, I had received a knit crate box of 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn, and I was going to make a sweater, and I needed 4 skeins, 4 hanks. And I sent her a message about something else. And I mentioned that I was looking for some knit crate yarn. I didn't know she had it. I didn't even know she had a subscription. And she says, hey, I'll send you mine. And she just sent it to me.
She's just the kindest person.
Yeah, she is. I was just beside myself. And I said, well, I'm going to create a prototype of a pattern, and I'll let you know when that happens. Well, a year later, I finally got it out the door, and I sent her an email with the pattern. So I just had to finish it, though. It was in a project bag. I was looking at it all the time, and I just had to finish it. But it was fingering weight, and I've made now 3 sweaters. I've got sweater quantity of one. There were 3 colors, and I've made 2 sweater patterns out of the first 2, and they are fingering weight, and I do love it. I reach for them all the time in the spring and the fall. They're a little hot for summer because they're wool, but I'm not averse to wearing wool in the summertime. Cotton is almost as hot.
Yeah, and wool breathes so nicely.
It really does. It's not that hot unless it's about 90 or above. I can get away with wearing wool, and when it's in the 80s outside, I can wear wool as long as it's thin. As long as it's thin. And
Yeah.
of course, if I was knitting, then it would be a lot thinner. It would probably be a lot easier to wear. But anyway, I didn't mean to go off on that tangent, but
No, that's what we're here for. And did you realize that she was my guest last week?
Yes, I saw the interview. I went back and looked at it. Yeah, I saw the interview. That was sweet of her to come on too. That was
right.
She's, she's like one of the queens of.
I know. Don't think I almost fell off my chair when she agreed.
Well, she's so sweet and so real.
And she wants to learn to knit too. In fact, I think, I don't know. And this is funny. This is me just making stuff up. I think a good majority of crocheters will say, I want to learn to knit. You guys tell me this. How many of my non-knitting crocheters have it in your mind that you would like to learn to knit? Let me know in the comments.
I would.
But, right? But you rarely hear a knitter say they want to learn to crochet. And I think they are losing out on, it's like you were saying, knitting has its place. I think it's more sophisticated. You get a much smoother material when you knit, and you have there's some beautiful, I'm trying to think of how to word it. Like the lace knit shawls are absolutely.
And the sweaters too. They do all this lace up here around the top. It's so gorgeous.
They're stunning. But there's an awful lot I can do with crochet that I am not knitting dishcloths. It's not going to happen. except that I have, because there's some fancy ones where you can knit a design into it. And that's, I got to tell you, that's kind of why I tried to pick up knitting again, because there's this one lady, and I can never remember her name, and I need to, because I talk about her all the time. And she's got a line of free knit dishcloth patterns, and she probably has 200 of them in there. And they're like sports stuff and fishes and dogs and plants and flowers and houses and trucks, everything you can imagine. It's a simple design. I did a flamingo out of that for
wow.
And they're very simple pattern, because it's a simple chart. And I'm like, I was trying to duplicate that with crochet, and it just wasn't working.
It's not as smooth,
right?
The edges, you can't make them.
So I'm like, all right, I got to figure this knitting out, because I want to do these dishcloths. And so I did that flamingo one for Pinky Jeanne. Make sure y'all go and subscribe to Pinky Jeanne. She's a new up and coming. She's a hoot too. And she collects flamingos, and I wanted to send her that little flamingo dishcloth.
Oh, that's a nice thing to do. Yeah.
And I had so much fun. And it's very simple, knits and burls, and you're following a chart, and you just go. And to me, knitting a dishcloth or crocheting a dishcloth is the absolute perfect thing when you're learning something new, because who cares if you mess up? It's to wash your dishes with.
There's a hole in it. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. And it's a great way to learn how to count stitches. It's a great way to learn how to make new stitches. And, so I love making dishcloths as a learning tool. That's just one of the things that I do.
Well, that's probably what I ought to try to do, because I tried a scarf, and I got about, this far, maybe like that. And I was using a knit crate yarn, because I thought, if I knit with something really super duper nice luxury yarn, I'll be more apt to finish it, or to knit with it. Maybe it'll be easier to knit with the luxury yarn than it would be a little bit rougher yarn. Probably not true, but in my mind, that's what I was thinking. Mm-hmm. And I picked the yarn that I would never make a sweater out of, which was a mistake. And I got a ways with it. I got kind of excited about it. And then I turned around one day and I saw this big hole, where I dropped a stitch, whatever you call it.
Yep, drop stitches.
I didn't know how to fix it. Knitting. I could go on the web.
Crochet hook.
With a crochet hook, exactly.
That's what you do. You crochet back up your ladder.
Yeah, and I didn't know exactly how to do it, and it was just taking me some time that I needed to spend on my crochet projects, and so I I put it in a box. It's in the floor behind me somewhere here. All my knitting stuff. I finally got it all together. All my books, all my, I have a lot of knitting patterns that are supposedly easy. You know, they're easy patterns. And I have a file folder full of those that I've printed off. Every now and then I'll see one. I think I'd like to make that someday. So I print it off and I put it in a folder. And I have all that in a little box over there by my piano. And I think, you know, at least when I want to knit, I know where to go. I won't have to go here and find my knitting needles up there and all that. It's all in one spot. So whenever, maybe after Christmas or something, you know, when things calm down, excuse me, that's when I start my spring patterns. Yeah. So I may not be able to get to it at that point. I don't know.
I know. And it's so much more difficult than crochet. And you know, with crochet, when the dog jumps up in my lap, which happens on a regular basis around here, and I'm not going to drop 3 stitches and ruin my design. And, you know, even if I drop my hook, the stitches aren't going to come apart for the most part, maybe a couple, but
yeah, you put them right back on there. Yeah.
Right. So it's much more forgiving that way. And even when you're doing a pattern, I think, I'm working on a sweater pattern, not a sweater, a shawl pattern right now. Spring, the fiber enthusiast, she's doing some beautiful crochet alongs, which of course I'm behind in, and but only 1 week, which is I'm sure a world record for me. And so
now, who are you doing a crochet along with? Who is that?
Spring, the fiber enthusiast.
Spring,
like springtime.
Okay.
Spring, and she does a lot of them. She's one of those.
I mean, what are you making? Excuse me.
Well, I just happen to have it right here. We're supposed to be showing off your stuff, not my stuff. This is gorgeous, though. This is one of the prettiest things I've made. Uh-oh, I've got yarn. Oh, no. The yarn is caught in my zipper. How did that happen? Oh, no.
That's so dangerous.
I've never had that happen before. Oh, so I'm going to have to be very careful taking this out because the yarn is caught in my zipper. Oh, my God. And it's right up to where my stitches are. Oh, this is going to be a problem. That's
an afternoon project right there.
Yeah. So isn't this gorgeous?
Is that a virus shawl? Oh no, she's got.
Part of it's got the virus in it. The virus stitch is right here and a little bit down here. But the next row is going to be pineapple.
Oh, but pineapple! Wow. Yeah.
This is the prettiest, laciest thing I've ever worked on. Okay, Mister, you got a project. Be very, very careful because it's right where my stitches are and right at the end. Don't tear that. Ugh.
Is that a shawl or a blanket? What is that?
It's a shawl.
It's a shawl. Okay. That looks really pretty.
I can't imagine how that got caught in that zipper. Oh, okay. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. It'll be
fine. He'll fix it for me.
Hey, even if you have to break your yarn, you can.
But it's already the part that's done.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I thought it was the last stitch or something.
Yeah, it's the part it's the end that's done and the part that I'm working on. If I have to break that, it's not the end of the world. But the part that's already done.
Sorry about that.
The joys of crafting, right? Joys of crafting.
Things happen all the time. Yeah.
All the time. Well, that last knit crate that we got, when they sent that marker, the lid came off and got all over my yarn.
Oh no. In the box?
We don't get a box because I fluff. So I get 4 skeins instead of 2. And we don't get the pretty box.
So you get the 4 skeins? Oh man, I know I've toyed with that idea. Okay, it's so expensive every month. I just don't know if I want
it. Is. But you know, when I think I probably had a coupon or whatever, and because it was for 6 months, I bought the 6-month special, and I'm sure there was a discount because I'm kind of, you know, these guys know I'm kind of cheap. I'm always looking for the deal.
We're always looking for a deal nowadays. You know, it's just so expensive to ship. Mostly, they have to pay for shipping on that.
Yeah. And that's what they said, because I've asked them a couple times, why don't I get the pretty blue box? Because that's part of the fun. You get the beautiful box in the mail, and then they're all stacked up in the shelf. And
you could put 4 skeins in there. You can
Yes,
put
you
4 hanks in
can.
that box.
I do
There's
it
plenty of
all the
room in there
time.
for that.
They're
Yeah.
squishy, but you can do it. But
Yeah.
no, they said they can't get it in there. Now, the only time we couldn't get it in there is if there was a chunky one, but most of the time their
So
stuff
that's
is
good.
not chunky.
So
Rarely
you get
is it.
4 hanks every single month?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Do you get the
Mm-hmm.
same hanks that we do? You just get more of
Yeah.
them? Is that how it
Mm-hmm. They call it fluff. So, because they've
Fluff.
changed the thing now, you can get 1 skein. I don't remember what they call that. You can get 2, and which is the normal one, and you can fluff, which is 4. Which for me, just like you were saying, so many of the times I go to make something, I need more yarn than what they've provided because I'm a big girl, and
Well, because you're crocheting. If you're crocheting, I don't know. I guess you
yes.
are.
Well, yeah. Well, if I'm making myself a sweater, it's a crochet size is a 2X, and so it takes more yarn, and I got tired of having to go back in and buy more yarn.
And I've
And
been doing
sometimes
that. I've been buying that extra skein that I need to make a summer top, not a winter top. Winter top, I need at least 4 skeins to make.
So you need to fluff. You need to fluff your subscription.
I could. I'm not sure I'm though. But I get the quarterly. See, I get the quarterly Malabrigo.
Oh, the Malabrigo.
That's
I don't know if you can fluff that one.
No,
I don't know.
I would rather fluff the other one. I would rather fluff
that Malabrigo.
I'm sorry. Say that again. I'm sorry.
No, I've never used the Malabrigo. It's one of those that I don't know that I've ever had the opportunity to use.
Oh, you would love it.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Love Malabrigo yarn.
Don't tell Mister. Don't tell Mister. I had an opportunity to buy a quantity of the Knit Crate yarn, and I bought it to sell. I have a friend who has an art studio, and people sell things in there. So I was going to put this yarn in there to sell it. I'm having a hard time letting go of this beautiful Knit Crate yarn.
I gave away some yesterday on my video, and I mean, I'll give it away next Monday, but I don't part with it very much.
It's hard.
I see a lot that I'm going to want to do.
Yeah.
In the future, maybe 5 years from now, maybe 10 years from now. I don't really want to give it up, but it's starting to pile up.
Yeah, I'm packing it up. I've got it all ready to go, and I'm like,
packing yours up?
Well, to sell. I've got it in, packages to sell.
I see.
And I'm like, and I'm like writing that, and I'm like, oh my God, superwash merino. Oh my gosh, alpaca cashmere blend.
How can I give that up?
Oh my gosh, camel. So we'll just set this one aside, and then maybe we'll set this one aside. It's hard. They're my babies, and part of it was from years and years, and you were probably in the same boat as a lot of us. The only option was Red Heart. We'd go down the grocery store and buy the Red Heart yarn, and that was not only the only. And I'm sure this isn't the case, but in my memory, that was the only yarn that's available. And probably the knitting stores had fancy yarn, but I wasn't going to no knitting store. I
didn't know of any knitting stores back when I was small. My mom always took me to the dime store, and we bought Red Heart yarn. Red Heart yarn, and it was a big deal to buy more than one ball.
Right,
a big deal.
Yes, and so this time around, I mentioned earlier, we sold our house, we bought an RV, and we hit the road. And there's not a lot of room for your yarn collection in an RV.
That's right. You can't take your stash with you.
You cannot. And I got rid of everything. My hooks, my yarn, my patterns, all my quilting stuff, all my cross stitch. I got rid of everything. And I took a little cross stitch with me because I knew that doesn't take a lot of space. But the problem was, you kind of got to spread out a little bit with cross stitch, which I didn't even think about till I tried to do it in a motorhome with 4 pets. And so that wasn't happening a lot. And we got a permanent placement in Texas, and we were going to be there for the better part of a year. And somehow I decided I needed to crochet something. And I don't know what even sparked it. Oh, I do know what sparked it. My mom got sick and I wanted to crochet a shawl for her and to use in the nursing home. So I bought the brightest, not oh my gosh, what is it? Mandala, the brightest mandala yarn I could find because she likes those bright colors. And I wanted something cheery in her nursing home room. And I crocheted her a shawl. And that's what sparked all of this.
Uh-oh, got you in trouble.
And I bought yarn and I bought some hooks and off I went. And this time around, for the first time in my life, I had some disposable income that I didn't have before. And so I started buying some nicer yarns and hitting the sales. And where we were, there wasn't a store to buy anything other than the Walmart with some red heart. So everything I bought came online. Well, you can't buy one or two because you got to pay that darn shipping. So, you know, I'm buying 50 of something and, well, not 50, but you know,
a lot.
Yeah. So,
I think I enjoy Hobby Lobby for the big box store. They have a lot of yarns that look like Lion Brand and some of the others. And if you go in there on a Wednesday or some, you know, when they have their 30% off yarn.
Right. Yeah, that week.
Never been known to buy anything unless it was 30% off. I'll go in there and find the yarn I want, and then I go back when it's on sale and I buy it. But I noticed the last time I was in there, they had, I hope I didn't unravel that. They have yarn like this. This is
well, that's pretty.
Homespun by Lion Brand. Beautiful, beautiful colorway. And there's some light purple in there too. You can't really, where's my camera there? You can't really see it. It's in the middle, right? I cannot do this left to right camera thing.
I know. Oh, I see it. I see it.
My iPad was always just the what it was. You know, my phone, it is right means right, left means left. But on the MacBook, see, my hand is going to the right, but I'm putting it to the left. It's the weirdest thing.
It's opposite.
So when I'm looking at the camera,
like parking a trailer, you got to turn the opposite direction.
We did it. I'm struggling. Okay, there is the light purple.
That's all right. I can fix that.
They had.
Oh,
good. They had this in Hobby Lobby the other day. Exactly. I mean, it looked like Lion Brand had made it, you know, and they called it homemaker or homemite or something. I don't know. It said it had home in the name. And I thought, you know, it would probably cost me less to use the Hobby Lobby because I don't have to pay for shipping. Now, every now and then I'll find something like this, and this will be at Amazon. I'll find, you know, I'll look for it. And if I can find on Amazon, it's free shipping. And if it's not too much more than Lion Brand, I'll go ahead and buy it.
More. You know, it's funny because Amazon, everybody thinks Amazon is so much cheaper, but I find, at least with yarn anyway, it is always, and sometimes it's a lot more.
Yeah, you have to be careful not to pay $30 for a hank.
And then the other day, well, I made a shawl last year for a Christmas present, and I had gotten 3 skeins in a Lion Brand, the Santa sack. And I had got 3 skeins. I'm like, perfect. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to need one more of this. And of course, it's a discontinued color. And so I was stuck going to Etsy. And at that point, I didn't know that Ravelry has a place where people sell yarn. Now I know that. But so I ended up buying another skein of yarn off of Etsy to finish this project. $20.
If you need it, you need it.
And then I didn't even use the darn thing.
Oh, no.
But I had to get it here in case because it's like, okay, I need it for these last 2 rows. I still have that 1 skein yarn. But I'll tell you what. So the comfy cotton that I bought, I got this on clearance from Lion Brand for $2 a skein. I bought a lot of it. And
they only had the 1 color, right?
They only had when I bought this one, they had 3. But when I got it, by the time I got it in my cart, they only had this one left. And that's so annoying. And then this last time around, they had just the brown, the cappuccino. So I got 10 of those because they were $2 a piece. So I was at Joann's over the weekend, and they had some of this on clearance, on their clearance rack. Do you know how much it was on clearance? $6 a skein. on clearance.
Is it
And I'm like,
usually about $8 at Joann's, isn't it?
well, nowadays it's 10.
Oh my goodness, for a cake of yarn? Eeh, that's pretty steep.
Yep.
Now I know the comfy cotton I have in my stash. I know I didn't pay more than $3 a cake on
Yep.
Amazon, and then I had to, obviously they put the shipping in there, so you're
Right.
really paying
Right.
maybe $4 a skein or a cake.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
Joann's
Yeah.
doesn't always
Yarn
seem to
prices
be
have
such a
just
great deal for me. I'm kind of quit going
no.
there.
And it used to be their clearances were pretty good. And I did hit a good clearance a couple months ago. I want to say June-ish, because it was right about the same time that Hobby Lobby was supposed to have been having their big mega sale, and it wasn't hitting my stores. And so I popped into Joann's, and they I don't know why they had a bunch of Christmas yarn that they were clearancing for like $1.99, $2.50. And I honestly, I didn't have a single skein of Christmas yarn, so I picked up quite a few of them.
Good.
Probably 10 or 20 different kinds of yarns, some thicker ones and some regular big twist type yarn. So some 4 weights, some 5 weights, some 6 weights, some specialty stuff, a good mix of it. And I knew some of it I was going to be using for giveaways in my bingo. And but for the most part, I am finding that their clearances are the price that I would expect to pay, for the normal prices for yarn.
Yeah.
It's just gotten so bad.
Yeah, they've got to pay for all that overhead. They have huge stores, and I mean, I know Hobby Lobby does too, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Joanne does framing. But when I do my diamond paintings, I take them
Yep.
to Hobby Lobby to have them framed. And I know the girls there; they know exactly what to do, and they,
Mm-hmm.
they use a backboard. They paste it on the backboard and all that to keep it from sliding. And,
Mm-hmm.
and it's expensive though. It's gone up in the last 6 months. It's gone
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Even when I have a discount, you know how they do.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like it's real expensive. They just have a lot of overhead. I think that's one
They
of the
do. They
people
do.
they are back to shopping, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I know during COVID, you couldn't even go into I guess
Mm-hmm.
you could go into Joann's. Maybe no, they
Joann's.
weren't an essential business.
Oh
So
no, Joann's and Hobby Lobby did because of the face masks. You need to buy stuff to make face masks with. So
oh, I got you. That's right.
they were allowed to stay open. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
But anyway, I know people weren't shopping like they were before.
No, not like now.
I was even a little bit leery of going in anywhere, even with a
Mm-hmm.
mask on, because
Mm-hmm.
they scared us all so much. And so
Mm-hmm.
I just quit going out. Mr. On the Hook went to the grocery store. He wasn't afraid of anything. So he'd go to the grocery store and, because I got sick a couple of times, very a harsh flu that I had. I don't think it was COVID, but it might have been. No, it was COVID actually, because I went to have my antibodies checked, and they said that I had a really high number of antibodies.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I had COVID and I let it cook. I don't take
Mhm.
anything for a fever usually.
Right.
Just cooks and cooks and cooks and cooks, and then I never get it again. And that's what I was going for at the time. But Mr. On the Hook never gets sick. He never gets the flu. He never gets a cold. He never, what? It's just I don't understand that. But
Some
I
people
think because the
just like
grandkids get
that.
right in my face all the time. When I go to visit them, they're just right in here,
Mhm.
all over me and
Yeah.
drinking after me, and they hand me something to eat, and I'm not going to turn them down, so I just eat it. So I usually, when I come home from visiting, that I have a little something, a little present,
Mhm.
cold or something,
Mhm.
But they
Yeah.
don't do Mr. On the Hook that way. They just want to play ball with him, so he doesn't
Yeah.
he doesn't catch everything that I do. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's I think after COVID, I don't think people went back to the way things used to be.
No, not at all.
I
Not
just
at all.
don't see as many people out at the mall or
Mhm.
anything. I don't go to the
No.
mall anymore, but
Gosh, I haven't been to a mall in so long. It's
I
been
didn't go before
years.
COVID even. I'd quit
Yeah.
going, but, for Christmas shopping, and I couldn't stand that.
Yeah.
I just didn't
Oh,
go
the
on the web,
crowds.
buy something on a wish list.
Yeah, I can't do, and crowds didn't used to bother me when I was younger, but now that I'm of a certain age,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't like the crowds. I can't put up with it anymore. And um You know,
The mall, yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to go to a movie with my girlfriends, and
Yeah.
all the movie theaters are inside malls now.
Mm,
So that's,
that's true.
yeah.
I did go and see Maverick, uh,
That's what I want to see.
Top
Is it
Gun.
good?
Oh,
Don't
you will
tell me
love it.
about it.
You would love it. I've seen it twice now in the movie theater,
Okay. And
and
that's one I think you have to see at the movies, unless
you
you got one
do.
of those
The big
ginormous
screen, it's
TVs in your house. Yeah,
unbelievable. It's
which I do not.
unbelievable. And honestly, it is believable because it was actually shot. It's not a lot of CGI in there. It's
Oh.
actual shots they took from jets with them flying. I mean, it's just, it takes your breath away. It's so exciting, and it's such
Mhm.
a good story, and it's not all weirdo stuff. It's
Yeah.
all really basically military. Somebody said it was a military advertisement for the Navy, and I thought no other better way to do it,
Yeah. Sounds good to
because
me.
it puts you right in the seat with them. You think, I'd like to do that.
Yep. Sounds
I
good
would,
to me.
if I was younger, I might want to join the Navy.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I'm
and I'd rather see that than, and I don't even know the names of them, but those, what are those movies, that whole series of movies where it's car chases and Fast and Furious. Fast and
Fast
Furious.
and
I'd
Furious.
rather
I've seen them
see
all.
a
Yeah,
movie about soldiers than something like that, where
right.
they're just, gratuitous killing of everybody.
Well, that's true. It is pretty hard to watch,
Mm-hmm.
but the
Mm-hmm.
the military movies are so exciting. It's just so exciting.
Mm-hmm.
You will love it when you see it. You will
Good.
love it. See, I'm going
Good.
back to see that again. But when we go in the afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
because we're able to now. We don't leave the
That's
house to
right.
go to work, and so about 4 o'clock they have a matinee, and there's nobody in there much, and you can really space out. You don't have to
Yeah.
be sitting right next to somebody you don't know, or somebody that's coughing or sneezing or whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have a big problem with that, but some people do.
Yeah.
So we go and we can sit wherever we want, and it's so wonderful in there. There's nobody talking around you, nobody
Mm-hmm.
on their phone, and that's when you should go and see it. Go and see a
In
matinee.
the middle of the afternoon. Yeah, I love the matinees. I
I do
love them.
too. They're so much fun. I don't like going late at night because I get
I
tired.
can't stay up that late anymore.
Yeah. I want to be in my house by 8 or 9 o'clock. I want to be back
Mhm.
home wherever I've been.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember, a while ago reading a joke about, or cartoon about a lady, and she's like, "You wanna start a movie at 9 o'clock at night?" And I'm like, "I'm right there with you."
I don't even want to start them at home at 9 o'clock at
I
night.
know. I
I mean, I'd
know.
stay awake, but Mr. On the Hook can't stay awake. So
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah,
that's with him.
he
He's a
can't
nine
either.
o'clock napper. He naps
Yep.
at 9 o'clock. So if he says you want to watch something, and if it's 9 o'clock, I just say no, that's all right. But I always have my crochet in there. I'll take it in the chair and I
Mhm.
crochet. If it's something boring or something guyish,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
just crochet and do my thing. In the mornings, I crochet. I crochet a lot in the living room, and I do. I don't have any animals. Like you said, you had four. You have
Well,
four
we're
dogs
down.
anymore?
Well, right now at this, but we just lost one of our female. We lost her to cancer about a month ago. So we're
Oh,
down to two dogs, and then Miss Morgan, our roommate, has two cats, and
okay.
so they're trying to. The cats are having a harder time of coexisting than the dogs, because they're used to. We've always had a cat, so they're used to being around a cat. The cats are not, and my dog is a monster dog. He's a mastiff, and so he's a big
Oh
boy,
my goodness.
and so the cats are a little leery of him, and he pretty much stays out of their space, but not completely, and so they're getting used to each other. But really, we've only been here for since April, so for them to get thrown into the whole dog debacle. So
Mhm.
basically, we have four critters here.
Are you in a house now? You're not
Yes.
traveling, are you?
No, we bought
You
a
are?
house. We actually
Oh,
bought
you
it
bought.
last year. We bought it
Yeah.
last summer. And of course, I bought my house at the very height of the real estate,
Yeah.
paid way more than I should have. But here's the thing. Mr. had a stroke a couple years ago. And ever since then, I have been terrified that something was going to happen and I wouldn't have a place to land.
Yeah.
And so
I understand. Yeah.
it was all consuming for me to get us a house. And
Mhm.
so This one, I fought for it and I paid way too much for it because it's a tiny little house, but it's everything. There's no stairs anywhere. It's all on one floor. Even the garage has one step, but it would be easy to put a ramp there. I mean, even out the front door, around to the front, because the gentleman who lived here before was in a wheelchair. So everything is wheelchair accessible,
Yeah.
all the cabinets you can reach. And so for me, it was the perfect house for our situation.
Yeah.
And so I fought to get it, paid too much for it, and we were still on the road. And so his granddaughter and her best friend, who's Miss Morgan, were going to live in it while we were still traveling. Well, then the granddaughter met some boy and they ended up getting married.
That happens.
I know, got married and moved across the state. And so he's a very nice young man. We really like him. So Morgan said, yeah, she still would move in, and she's been a godsend to us. And as far as we're concerned, she's our granddaughter as well, and she's just been an angel here. And she helps on Monday Night Bingo. I'll tell you what, I couldn't manage without her on Monday Night Bingo. She keeps things going, she keeps things in line, and all I have to worry about is being the host, you know.
Yeah.
And
young people are great with technology. They can really help a lot. And they intuitively know how to do things. When I have to learn, I have to read, I have to go on the Google and, ask questions and all that. Or my daughter can walk in here and say, oh, you just press this and that. Then you go here, and slide this down, and you hold your finger down here and you move it that way. And I have, as Mr. On the Hook bought me this brand new MacBook, which is a kind of expensive thing. I just said,
very expensive. Yeah.
And he said, instead of a camera, I'll just get you a MacBook. And he surprised me with it on my birthday. And I have a regular computer, a PC, and I have an iPad that I use and an iPhone that I use. And he said, we'll just get you this MacBook. Well, it's like learning a new language for me, because I'm used to a PC, computer, it's totally different. Totally different. And it's like, and it's got a big touchpad on it that you have to learn how to hold your finger down here, and you move the other one over, and then you slide it. You use 3 fingers for this and 2 fingers for that. And I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, get me a mouse. So I went out and bought a mouse. And it actually will act like my computer. It's a lot better using a mouse, let me tell you. And I know how to use a mouse. I'm really good with a mouse. So anyway, I bought that, and it's made it a lot easier to operate. Still, I don't understand it like I do my PC. I don't understand it.
PC. I think the PCs are much more intuitive, much easier. Although I struggle with it too. I
do too. I find that too.
I couldn't send an email from my PC for like a year and a half. Couldn't send an email. I could get them, but I couldn't send them. Well, then all of a sudden I could no longer receive emails. So now I have a computer that I cannot send or receive emails on. And I was going crazy. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done fighting with this thing. It's a 6-year-old laptop. It's time to upgrade. I went down to Costco. I didn't get top of the line. I got a mid-range one. Get it home. I can't send or receive emails. Come to find out, it's the email program. And most of the time I'm learning, when you've got a problem with the computer, it's a program problem. It's not a hardware problem.
Right. Your computer will run whatever you put into it,
But it didn't like.
Do you have a Gmail account?
Yeah, I do now. But the problem was my account was my Apple computer account because, I use my phone. And the computer doesn't like Apple because it's not an Apple computer. It's not a Mac.
That's right.
And that was the whole problem. And I spent about 4 hours with support. And he's like, we can do it, but it's hard. And I'm like, that seems odd to me that something as basic as email is that difficult for the computer. Yeah. So I get a lot of things. And that's like when I'm setting up and doing my videos and stuff, I have to be careful because a lot of my pictures I can't access on my computer. I know Dana's over there laughing at me. She's like, just put it in your Dropbox. It'll be fine. Yeah.
I don't like Dropbox. That's too confusing for me.
and then the whole cloud thing. And so to
I don't
me,
understand it.
if I take a picture on here, I want it to be on there. I want it to be on the tablet. I want it to be on the computer, and it is not. So I have to be very careful where I set up my lives, because the picture that I need is over here, not over here. And if I set it up on the computer, I can't add a picture later. At least I don't know how. So I have to make sure I set it up on the tablet, get the picture I want, and then I can finesse it on the computer. It is ridiculous. Wow. Just give me some yarn and a stick and let me make something, right?
The technology is really, really, because there are two entities, you know, the I entity and the PC entity. And I do drag from my computer now. I've figured out how to drag a video that I shoot on my MacBook. I shoot it on my MacBook. I airdrop it to my iPad, okay? And then my iPad is hooked up to my computer. And so it appears on my computer. And then I can drag it over to YouTube. And that took me like, you know, a month to figure that out. Yeah. And Mr. On the Hook helped me with that. He says, well, we'll drag it over here. And doggone it, it worked. I couldn't believe it. So I've been doing it that way ever since I started. And he said, now put this MacBook in there. I thought, oh no, there's something else I've got to airdrop, do this, drag this, move over there. And if something goes wrong, it's just a tragedy, because I've filmed a video and then I can't get it onto YouTube. I mean, the whole thing is very difficult, but I have figured out a lot of it. I just have to learn how to use my MacBook to make it work. I want it to be the workhorse, but right now,
and it should be.
It's barely working. I'm just using it for a camera.
Well, and you edit videos, which I gotta say, the majority of us YouTubers nowadays, we don't edit anything because we can't figure it out. And I know Dana loves the Dropbox. She sent me something on the Dropbox this morning, which I couldn't open on this. I had to go to my tablet and open, Dana, just so you know.
When you say tablet, you mean your iPad?
Yes, it's my iPad. Okay. And
I use mine all the time. It's part of my whole genre here of I call them machines. They're not machines, but you know, things that I use. And the iPad, I drag my video. I don't drag it. I airdrop my video from my MacBook that I shoot it on, the raw version, and I airdrop it to my iPad. Okay, you can do that. It's very easy. And then I use iMovie, which is automatically on your iPad. iMovie is simple. It's for simple minds like mine. It's for a simple mind, very easy to use, and it's very simple to edit. I mean, you can seriously, it's not that hard to do.
But you know, and I don't want any fancy editing, but I'd like to be able to pop a picture up in here, or
that's how you do it on iMovie,
or put some clips together. You know, I've
learned to do that, but that's all I do. I don't do any fancy editing. I can put a picture now. I can edit out pieces, and I can add in a video that I take on my phone. I airdrop that to the iPad, and it goes on there. It's listed right there, and you just click it and it drops into your video. You can do it. I promise you, Robbin, you can do it. If I can do it, I know you can do it.
And it
takes a while. You have to learn how, but once you do, it's so much fun because you can edit your videos.
I know. And I used to do a little tiny bit of editing on my old computer, and I couldn't put like overlay of words, but I could break it and put in, I don't know what to call it, a card, and it would say, you know, whatever it would say, you know, number 2 or upcoming or whatever. And I could do all that, and then it just stopped. And I did that for a year, and it just stopped. It wouldn't let me do it anymore. And I've done the same process, and it shows me that it's done. And then I play the video, nothing's there. None of the things I just spent 2 hours doing are there, just a straight video. So I don't know. And I don't have access to a technological savvy teenager. Morgan is great for a certain amount of stuff, but you know, I've even lost her on, you know, and she doesn't know anything about Androids. And I made the mistake of buying an Android phone instead of replacing my iPhone, because the camera and the videoing are phenomenal on this thing.
On the Android, yeah, I don't have any Android stuff. I have the iPhone. And
yeah, I shouldn't have done it. I regret it.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, now I carry 2 phones around with me because I need my iPhone to do everything.
Oh, no.
The only thing it doesn't have is cell service. So if I need to send a message, I do it on this. And an actual phone call, I do it on that. But so now I'm carrying 2 phones around with me all the time.
Oh man, that would wear me out.
It does. It wears me out. It does. And I'm getting better, but like I can't even hang up a phone call on this thing. And somebody called me a few minutes ago, and to decline, I just have to wait for it to quit ringing, and I can't figure out how to answer the phone, decline a phone call. I hate this phone. It's getting better. It's getting better. And every week or so, I'll connect with my grandson, and he'll teach me a couple of more things because he doesn't want to overwhelm me.
There are a lot of people that love Android. I've never used it, and I didn't want to try to learn something new. So it's hard enough using everything. So I've got 3 eyepieces here that I'm using, and I've got the hang of it now, and I don't want to change, because I want to be efficient with my videos.
I shouldn't have changed.
All day Monday, I spend doing videos, doing a video. All day Monday. I mean, I get up and I get dressed, and then I come in here and I plan it. And then right after lunch, I shoot it. And then I spend 2 hours editing. And then I have to write the description box, which I always do a lot in the description box. I put all the links there, and I write them on Word, and then I copy and paste into YouTube. And it's a huge undertaking. It's all day Monday. Mr. On the Hook knows that I won't be available for anything else. Then I can't watch TV. I can't have a conversation. Really, I'm busy. And then the rest of the week is not too bad. But, but then I'm crocheting and writing patterns, as fast as I can crochet. But it's video channels are not easy. And people that say they're easy, they just don't understand. There's so much to it. And you have to have content. And again, like I was saying at the beginning of our interview, you and I are separate, and we have to have content on our own. We don't have anybody to bounce that off of or to bring in. And, of course, this interview is probably all, you don't have to edit it. You don't have to do anything but have a conversation, which is kind of fun. But a lot of the Yarny sisters and all them, they have each other to bounce ideas off of. And so that's much easier than just a single person having a channel.
Right. Well,
there's although good things about it, but a lot of difficult things as well,
Right. And, with this, I do a lot of research. When I'm going to have a guest on, I go and I don't think I've ever had a guest on that it wasn't somebody I watched anyway, but I will go back and watch a whole bunch of their past videos.
I hope you didn't do that with me.
Well, I didn't have to because I've watched most of your videos anyway.
Oh, okay.
But,
thank you.
I haven't gone back to the very beginning. And I'll tell you, and I know that you have the same feeling that I do on this. When you're getting ready to start a YouTube channel, you're terrified. Your first couple videos are just awful. And I actually took a class on how to do a YouTube channel because, that's how I roll. But the guy, one of the guys, and he's a fairly big YouTuber. He's got probably 100,000 followers at this point. And I'm like, and he's like, just do it. Nobody's going to see it anyway. And I'm like,
most of them will tell you that. Just
you're right.
Turn it on, get your video done, and put it on YouTube. And, you get better every single video. Plus, all the videos that I make, I go back and watch them all the way through. After I upload them to YouTube, the next day I will watch it again, whether I'm in the car or something, I'll watch it. And I'll look to see what I could do to improve.
What I could do different, what I can do better.
What looks bad, what looks okay. All of that, I review it. And Mr. On the Hook will watch them as well. He occasionally has some creative ideas, but he doesn't criticize me too much. He does watch though, and if he says, "Oh, you spelled this wrong in your title," I go, "Oh my goodness!" I go back and fix it. I did that yesterday. I misspelled something, and I thought, "Oh, I hurried back in here and changed it." But I always watch it just to see if there's something that I can do to make the viewing of it a little more fun or a little faster paced or maybe slower paced or um, just something more interesting. So I've been putting my diamond painting updates in there, but I don't drag it out too long. I just come in here and I show what I've done, and that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I've got a monster dog running through the house. I don't remember.
Dog? It sounds like
yes, that's my dog. Yeah. Usually he has crawled up here and he likes to be on camera, but I've got my junk all spread out so he can't access it this morning. But many is the time he has crawled up here and tried. I'm in his spot is the problem. And so he'll kind of get behind me and think that he can slowly squish me out of his way.
Right. But you're in his where he lays?
Yeah, okay. I'm on his couch.
But, okay.
Yeah. But 125-pound dog. He sits wherever he wants.
Right. That's too big for me. That's too big. How do you manage him? Like if he got angry with you or if he doesn't. He doesn't get angry?
He's a big baby. He's a big baby. No, he would never, ever get angry at us. And he's Dennis's. Well, he's also Dennis's service dog. Mr. has a habit of, not a habit, but he has fallen on occasion. And so we need a big dog for his service dog. So we always have, and the Mastiffs they're strong, but they're gentle.
They're huge.
So they're huge. And this one isn't big. Our other one was 205 pounds. And see, this is where I wish I could pop up a picture so you could see our other dog.
Yeah.
I see the other dog hiding in the closet because he was afraid of the fly swatter.
Bless him. Bless him.
He's so sweet.
so sweet.
But he hated the sound that the fly swatter made. So as soon as you got a fly swatter out, he would go into my mother-in-law's closet. And it was one of those double-decker ones, and he'd get behind, and so you could see his body, and his little head would be behind the shirts.
He thought he was hiding.
Yep, he was hiding in the closet.
Oh, that's so sweet.
First to put away the fly swatter.
Dogs are so sweet. I love dogs. Cats I'm not so excited about.
I love cats too.
I've had both, and the cat we had was just difficult, but we've had several little dogs, and it's so heartbreaking when they pass on. And the last one we had to put down, and it was just, I was devastated. And so was my son. He was 30 years old, and he just wept like a baby. I mean, just so upsetting for us.
Yeah.
And so there, like I said, though, to you before we started, we travel a lot, and that maybe a day or two at a time. We don't go off for long periods of time, but we would have to find somebody to watch our pet because we don't have any family members here. So that's why we don't. I mean,
it's hard.
We'd love to have a dog running around, but honestly, they take a lot of care, and I'm busy a lot. I'm really busy. We both are very busy, and it'd be hard to give a dog the love that they need, and the care. You got to take them out all the time or let them out somewhere. You have to have a fence. If you don't have a fence, you got to leash them. And we finally, it took a year to get our fence up here. So we got a fence in the backyard, and I even had him, we've got this little, now remember, my dog is huge. I've got this little short 2.5 foot tall fence. It's almost a garden fence. And that's what we used in the motorhome when we were traveling. And we would put that thing up, and it's in sections, so you can make it as big as you want. And Max walks up to it, and he's like right here. He could knock that thing over like this, that he doesn't touch it. He knows that's his boundary. And so that's good.
Yeah. I know. So we put that up around kind of the front patio area so I can leave the front door open, because he'll stand at the door and bark and terrify the neighbor kids that are walking by. And he'd never go after them, but they're just horrified that this monster dog is barking at them, or they'll be walking their dogs by. And a lot of people's dogs aren't well behaved on leashes. And I don't want to take a chance of one of those dogs coming in here and starting trouble. And because we've got the monster dog, we'd get blamed for the problem. So we put that little fence up out front, so now he can go in and out of the front door. And, when one of us comes home, he's right there all happy. And so it works out. But I know what you mean about traveling. most, we just got back from a weekend visiting his sister, and thank goodness Miss Morgan loves them. And her and Max, he
Take
sits
care
at
of them.
the door and just sings when she comes home from work. And she sleeps in the daytime because she works nights, and he'll go and lay by her door and just wait for her to get up. He adores her. And so when we travel, she takes care of him now. So
That's really nice. See, we don't have anything like that. So that's why we don't have any pets. I'd love to have a pet, but I just don't really think I want a pet. My daughter has a pet and she brings the pet. My son has a pet and he brings the pet when he visits. So we get enough pet love from those two. A really big dog and a very, very tiny chihuahua. So we get the whole gamut of pets. We don't really want any more pets. Maybe if we were inside the house, we would have some,
We talked about when these guys pass on, we probably won't replace them for that very reason. And now I like to go visit my daughter in Texas. And when I go down there, I want to go for 3 or 4 weeks at a time because, it's a big ordeal to get to Texas. And so that's what it's
You're
just
a
hard.
long way from there. You're Washington State.
I know.
You go to Texas to visit. Do you drive?
Usually I fly when I go down there.
Oh, you fly. Okay.
Yeah, I fly down there, and she's got a room down there that I stay in, and so it works out. It works out really well. Yeah, and then the 3 little grands are down there, and then all the rest of the grands are up here. So, and that was a hard decision too when we were looking to buy a house. Do I buy down there? Or do I buy up here? And I ended up
Washington State, huh? You bought up there.
Yeah, but I mean, this is where I've lived my whole life, so.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
you love your stomping grounds.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It really is.
It is. So how often? I mean, I know when you're designing patterns, you're very focused on that. How long do you think it takes typically to design a pattern?
A couple weeks.
Really?
Maybe less. Depends on how hard I'm working on it. Depends on if it works out okay. If I have to frog out too much, which I do quite often. But I have a design in mind and I go to my stash. Usually, sometimes I order yarn, but mostly I go to my stash. I'll say, what have I got that I can make this out of that would look pretty in the style that I've got in my mind? And then I just start. I don't do stitch counts or anything. I guess you know that if you've been watching me. I don't do stitch counts. I do measurements. And so, things will actually fit people. And that's my focus. So I'll just take my measurements. I go, I'm about right here. I want to go this far. I want to stop here. I want to do the sleeve there. And it just, I've been doing it so long that it works out pretty well. And then I sit down and I write the pattern after I've taken all my notes, after I crochet. So I crochet, I take notes, I go to my computer and I design, I write the pattern out just like if I was making it again, using my notes to be sure I've got, what I'm doing at the time, where I'm going with it. And then I take pictures and then I put the pictures on the Word doc and then I make it a PDF. And then I like to, wear the items. And the last pattern or two I've done, I made a prototype and I also made 2 or 3 more of the same pattern and, experimenting with different measurements from the shoulder to the underarm, for the top down sweater. I really want to get good at that because I'd like to design a lot more of those and maybe use some color work or maybe some mosaic. I'd like to try that. To add in some easy mosaic for the beginner crocheter so they're not intimidated by, crazy patterns. I've seen some mosaics that were very difficult and I've never tried that. I mean, I made a little swatch last week and it wasn't difficult to do. I used the, I think it was the Apache.
Apache Tears.
Yes.
Apache Tears. Yeah. That's what we just did. We just did a live mosaic class. we did last Wednesday and then 2 Wednesdays before. And then next month we're doing a live making a notions pouch, and we're using the Apache tiers.
Really? Do you follow Tina T?
Yeah, she's the queen. She's the queen. But my premise, the reason we did it live was, you know, just like I was telling you, I'm having a problem with this pattern. I'm having a problem with that pattern. And I consider myself an advanced beginner, maybe an intermediate. I mean, I can do the stitches. That's never the problem. The problem is, where do I put my hook? Am I supposed to be putting my hook here, or am I supposed to be putting my hook here? And how many rows are on this? And how many stitches are in this row? And how many clusters should I have at the end of this row? And
Right.
when I'm reading a pattern, you've got no idea sometimes. And when I'm watching a video, I can't ask those questions. And some people are quite responsive. If you put a question in the comments, they'll respond to you and help you the best they can. Some people, you know, if you've got 50,000 or 70,000 subscribers, they're not even looking at your comments. It ain't happening. And I understand that.
Yeah, when you get several hundred comments, you can't read them all and answer to all of them. I mean, it just takes hours and hours.
You can't do it. You can't do it. And so the premise was, I wanted to take a process that is a little bit scary to a lot of people, which was the mosaic, and let's have somebody teach me live, and I can ask all the questions that most people are asking when they're trying to follow a video. And I did, and I asked a lot of questions, and our comments, our viewers asked questions that I didn't even think of, and they were wonderful questions. And so it worked out very, very well. And I think it'll be good. And we've got some other ideas, some things, and I figure if I'm struggling with a process, so is a whole bunch of other people.
Well, yeah.
And so if I've got you and you can explain exactly how it is I should be doing this one little thing, then maybe that's going to encourage more people to crochet more, to buy more patterns, to try things that they wouldn't try otherwise, because, you know, it's a crossbreed between having somebody sitting next to you. You know, we don't have grandma teaching us this stuff anymore. And good luck finding a crochet class somewhere. Knitting classes, yeah, but you can't find a crochet class.
They don't do those.
They don't do it
for some reason.
Or you'll get a beginner one, and that's the end of it. So that was the premise behind doing this live teach. And I'm calling the series Teach Me How. And it seemed to be pretty well accepted. And I've got some ideas for other things, and just bouncing around with other people that are very good at stuff. So that's just my idea behind that.
That's good. Yeah. So do you have an overhead camera that you use?
I got nothing. Nope.
Oh, you don't, but they do.
Nope.
Or somebody else?
Not always.
How did you do the mosaic?
It's very freaking easy. That's how we did it. It is so, yeah, I just held it up, because that's what I'm doing when I'm crocheting something. I'm just like, okay, this is what I did. I put my crochet hook right here, and she's like, nope, it needs to go behind that. Oh, so it goes right here. Yep. Oh. And that's what we did.
I never thought of that. I did have an overhead setup at one point, and then I kind of cannibalized it and used it for my diamond painting. I mean, it's not an overhead camera anymore. It's just overhead lighting. So all I did was I just converted my table that I'd set up to do tutorials as a diamond painting table, because tutorials to me, I just don't do them. I don't do them. I don't have a setup for it. I don't have room for it now. And frankly, the camera it was difficult for me to see my hands with the camera. I'm sure there's some way to set it up, but I just don't know how to do that. And that's a whole nother project. And there are thousands of tutorials out there. So I figured, you know what, I'll just write the pattern like I'm doing a tutorial. And every now and then I'll put a photo in there. And so, you know, here's where you put your hook, that kind of thing. And but I did watch Tina Thoradal's, is that her last name? her video about the makeup bag or whatever she was doing, where she stitched stitches around the zipper first, and then she attached it to the mosaic. I thought that was very interesting. I'd like to try one of those. Did you do one already?
We're going to. Nope, that's coming up
to do
in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
I'm sorry. 2 weeks.
You said you're getting ready to do the little pouch with the zipper.
Yep, we're doing the zippered pouch. And so we're starting with a plain canvas zippered pouch. So in essence, with the bag she did, it was unlined. So we end up with a lined zippered pouch when we're done. And we just went to the dollar store, paid, buck and a quarter, whatever they are now. I picked one up at Hobby Lobby for under $2. And they've got all different sizes there. So I just picked the smallest one. And yeah.
So you buy the pouch and then you add to it.
Yep.
What a great idea, because that would make it lined. You're just making a cover for the pouch that you buy. Yep. What a great idea. See, she didn't do that. She made hers just out in the air. I mean, it was just one piece. And then I guess you could go back and line it if you wanted to, which you could do.
Well, that's not happening. That ain't happening in my world.
Not in your world. In my world, it might, but it probably wouldn't, because I wouldn't want to take the time to do it.
Right.
I could do it, but I wouldn't want to.
Lining something after the fact is a little tricky. Yeah. So
I see Christmas gifts in my future.
Right.
You've got
and
the
little ones
handmade
make cute little coin purses. And the little ones make cute little coin purses, makeup bag, crochet bag, and knitting bag, because you can make them this big.
Yeah.
What a great project bag for your cross stitch stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I might do that. Send me a link or tell me what you're going to do when you're going to do it.
I will for sure send you the link. I just realized today, this morning, I woke up way too early. And I'll tell you, this is one of my things. This is another one of my things. We talk about doing this without having to, do any editing or any work. One of the things that happens and has happened to me is I've got this thing ready to go. I've been advertising it for weeks and my guest doesn't show up. So I'm always terrified about the whole hour before my show starts. Where's my guest? Where's my guest? Is she going to be? And that's
always show up.
Oh, I know. But things happen. Computers break. I had one lady, her husband got in a car accident like 10 minutes before the show. One lady they had a huge storm, and she texted me the night before and she's like, our power's out. I don't know if I'm going to be there in the morning or not. And so, it's live. This is live TV.
That's tough. Yeah, when you send out your link and everything to everybody, and then you don't have your guest.
Right. And so, thankfully, Miss Dana, I had drug her up on here on more than one occasion. That's the good thing about me and Dana. We can sit and talk for a couple hours with no problem. I had another gal, AG from AJ's Personal Touch. I contacted her 10 minutes before a show one time because we'd been trying to get her on the schedule, and she's got some health issues. And so it's hard for her to commit to something a month in advance. And I'm like, are you up? How are you feeling? You want to do this? Great. And she popped on and we did it. And sometimes I just get up here and jabber for an hour or two. And, that's the way it goes.
Well, but that's flexible. That's important. It's important to be flexible. Yeah.
Yes, very flexible. But I am spazzing out for the hour before my show every time. And so I end up not sleeping well that night. And so this morning when I was up at 5 a.m, I was updating my calendar of all my projects that I've got. How much do I have to get done for Christmas? And I try not to overcommit for Christmas.
I've quit doing that. Doing it.
So this year, I'm only doing 3 projects, and they're all very small. And I can't even remember the 2 of them I know are mosaic because I'm excited about the mosaic now. But I'm doing a placemat size table topper and a pillow. And I can't even remember the third. What's my third item? Oh, a hat. I'm either going to knit or crochet. I haven't decided if I want to knit or crochet a hat. I've got the yarn picked out. And the problem is I found a knit pattern that I'm excited to do. And so I might knit that hat, but so that's it. That's all. That's my whole Christmas stuff. But then I've got the 20 other projects in that I've already started, and then the 400 projects that I want to actually do. So that's what
And
I
you
was
also
working on.
have your YouTube channel.
Oh yeah.
That you got to fit that in there
Gotta
somewhere.
put that in there. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you know, it's funny because I do a series called Finish It Friday.
I saw that on your website. Now I did on your YouTube channel. I didn't look at that one yet. I had that one clicked on, and then we were coming on here. So I thought,
Yeah.
well, I'll just
Yeah.
wait.
Well,
But
Finish It Friday started, and I stole that from a knitter, and she does Finish It February. But Finish It Friday started because I have an inordinate amount of whips. Do you have the pile of whips?
I do.
Yes, that always
You
makes
probably
me.
have 20 whips.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I'm
And I
looking
know
at
you work
that.
on
I've got
multiple
20.
projects,
Yeah.
as do I. Well, the whole premise behind Finish It Friday was get one of those whips and work on it at least one day a week. And so in theory, it was Friday. So I would work on that whip every Friday and make some headway and start getting some of these things finished.
Yeah.
And it has really worked out well for me.
Oh,
It
good.
has, and because I do the video, well, now I actually do my video on Friday. So Finish It Friday ends up being sometimes Thursday night at 11 o'clock, so I could show some amount of progress. But it forces me to actually work on some of these different projects that normally I wouldn't touch. And I have literally finished some projects that it makes me feel accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where Finish It Friday came from. And I didn't do it for a while, with the move and everything. And I actually had some people say, "Hey, what happened with Finish It Friday? What's going on?" And I'm like, "Okay." So I drug it back up and started redoing it again. And it's one of my favorite videos because because there are some weeks I barely get to crochet. And we do this channel because we love the yarn work. And if I'm not even getting to crochet for 15 minutes a week, something's wrong. And so the Finish It Friday allows me to spend some time doing something that I enjoy doing.
No, yeah, absolutely. It's a theme, a YouTube channel theme video every week. Like I do mine on Mondays. Everybody expects mine to come out on
Right.
Monday. And so I'm basically accountable to my viewers and subscribers to have a video out on Monday. And occasionally, if I'm gone for the weekend, or if I'm gone on a Monday, I will record on a Saturday or something. And then I get mixed up what day I'm at, and then I can't do a giveaway because I don't want to select anybody until the Monday. And so but it does make you accountable for, it makes you accountable to your viewers and subscribers, and they're the important people in your life when you're doing a YouTube channel. You want to please them and, have some content for them to look at, and hopefully something fun to aspire to make or to be inspired, whatever. So that's kind of where I am too. It's a Monday and yours is a Friday. So, that's something that really helps you to be accountable. And it goes on my calendar too. I write it on my calendar, video, and maybe an idea or two for what I'm going to talk about, or it was something that someone said in the comments the week before. I'll refer back to that. But I do have a calendar where I talk about it. And then when I'm planning my weeks, I look there and I say, oh, that's a video day. I can't really go there. I can go there on Tuesday or Wednesday, but I can't go to breakfast on a Monday because I'm busy on Monday all day on Monday. So I used to have two. And at first, when I first started my channel, I had was making videos 2 or 3 times a week. And and I had a lot of content. It was a lot of fun. And they were shorter videos. They were only probably 10, 15 minutes at the most.
Right.
And so it kind of pared down to the once a week. And then I added some late week video. I called several of them late week videos, and they were on Thursday or Friday. And I had so much content that I was splitting it up. And I decided, that is a whole nother day of the week that I don't get to crochet. I have to do a video. So I just kind of dropped that and just made my Monday videos a little bit longer. Some of them are an hour long. It's really too long, but that way, if I break it up, And I know people watch them in pieces. Probably they watch them for 20 minutes and they go do their dinner and they come maybe watch it. And that's what I do. I do with the knitting channels because they're long.
They're very long.
Knitting videos are, at least an hour. And I watch them, but I watch them in pieces. When I sit down in my chair, I'll put them in my ear and I just watch that while I'm crocheting. But that's kind of what I've settled back into, is just a once a week video, so that I can put all my effort into that and make it the best it can be for the one day a week, instead of trying to split it up too much. But I know Linda Simpson does the interviews. She has a Monday, a Tuesday, a Thursday, an interview, a live, a Sunday. It would probably
every day. She's got something every day almost.
Do that. That's a huge schedule, but her videos aren't that long either. Some of them are just 10 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever, and that's great. If she can split them up like that. But I spend a lot of time editing and stuff, and so I take me way too long for that. If I could just get on it and talk and just leave the mistakes in there. You don't see me coughing, drink. You don't see me drink.
We do
coffee easy.
When we do our lives, almost everybody, almost across the board, you'll hear us say, "What's in your cup? What's on your hook?" And that's part of what we do. We're drinking our coffee. I've got my pumpkin coffee. Everybody knows. I have my Trader Joe's pumpkin coffee, and either that or Diet Pepsi, depending on what time of the day it was. Oh, where's my Diet Pepsi? Oh, it's over there. I got one over there and one over here. And we've always got something that we're working on, or something we're planning on working on, or something, miracle, something we actually finished. And
finished object. Those are hard to come by.
Yeah, we don't. That's one of those foreign words that I don't quite understand. Jeannie's link should be dropping on its own. It's also in the description box. Her link is in the description box. Nightbot should be dropping her link on the regular. But Cheryl, if you want to drop her link, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm not seeing many of my blue dresses in here this morning, but I see Cheryl is. So I was going to ask you.
People are watching. Do we have some people watching?
We have 35 right now. Oh yeah, I'm sure. Hook that yarn. Yeah, and I did have some of you. I think I had a couple of your people join my bingo last night. So so I've got Monday night bingo, which is alive. And that has morphed into quite a big event. Oh, we had problems last night. We had problems, but we worked it out. We got our winners. So we play 3 games every Monday night. We have 3 winners, and that's been a lot of fun. And we just chit chat, and sometimes we actually remember we're playing bingo, and I'll get a number called
every now and then. You play bingo.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun with that. And then of course the Tuesday morning interviews. And we have got to meet some amazing people, and we've got some fun stuff coming up in the future. And then of course finish it Friday, and that's every Friday. And then every now and then I'll just throw something else in there, this or that. I'll get something in the mail, and we got to do an unboxing. And I'm doing Vlogtober. Wasn't planned, but it's happening.
I've thought about doing that, and I thought, oh man, I wouldn't be able to do anything else but Vlogtober if I was doing Vlogtober. Or what is
they have August, and I don't know what they call it at Christmas time. Oh, thank you so very much. That was kind of you. Somebody said that my Hobie bingo is more fun. It is more fun. But I do the Hobie bingo too. I know a couple people that have won. Huh?
What do you give away? What are the giveaways?
Oh,
what do you?
Let's. I just happen to have last night's giveaways right here, and so we had somebody won some of these press-on nails that are a lot of fun, and we had a pom-pom maker, and we had some. I don't know what this yarn is called. It's really soft. Parfait yarn.
Oh, yes,
really soft yarn. Yep, like a blanket yarn. So I've got last week. I haven't got last week's winners out yet. Last week was a mystery week because Robbin forgot to pull the prizes before we started playing.
It was a mystery.
It was a mystery, but there's a crochet hook in there, and there's a cross stitch kit in there, and so
Oh,
it's
good.
just all kinds of things. And every now and again, for some reason, somebody will contact me and say, "Hey, I'd like to sponsor bingo night." So then they give the prizes, and we had a what did we call it? Self-care night. And the prizes were like masks and things like that. And we're going to have, sometimes we have cooking night. And cause I'm also, I sell Pampered Chef. So I do give out some spices and some mixes, some bread mixes and things like that. So it's a little bit of everything, whatever we feel like giving away. They're not big fancy prizes because we're doing 3 a night every week. So,
that's a lot. That's what I do every Monday, 3 giveaways.
Yep.
And
I love your book. I love the books that you give away.
Oh, you mean the magazines?
The cross stitch books and the crochet books, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I put in for them every week.
Do you?
And half the time it's 3 weeks later before I get back to see the follow-up video. And I'm like, I don't think I've ever won, so that's not a problem.
You never know, though. You might be next. I mean, I have a subscription and I give them away every season. I think the cross stitch comes out by the season. Crochet World comes out more often.
Yeah, it's every couple of months, I think.
Yeah, it's fun to have something like that to give away. I mean, I'll be glad to sponsor your bingo night one night if you want.
Oh my gosh, that would be wonderful. Yeah, that would be a blast.
I'd be glad to do that. And you know, just sending a pattern PDF, and I would just need their name.
Yep,
and the winner, I could just PDF it out pretty quickly, you know, and it would. I wouldn't have to go to the post office and mail something. I PDF. Somebody might want to have a pattern. I don't know if they
Your patterns are amazing. And by the way, you guys, she's having a big sale on her totes. Do you have one of those totes handy you can show?
I do. Yeah, I'm using this one right here for one of my projects. This is the On the Hook project bag. Yeah. And I've sold a lot of them. I have to admit, I sold a lot of them yesterday. And my inventory's gone down, and I'm not ordering anymore. So if you were interested, they're 20% off.
And
then
I thought you were going to order
pattern. So yeah, I'll send you a free pattern. Well, you'll have to email me and all that, but you know, we'll get it to you. And it's been a wonderful product to have. I had initially I had like 6 colors, and I sold all of those, and I just have a few left. And I'm down to just a few of each of the colors. And then I'm going to offer something else later. I don't know what it's going to be. I would love to have a yarn line, but that's huge. And I don't know if I can even manage that.
I don't know how
if I just put my name on something and let somebody else send it. I don't know. I probably shouldn't do that. I probably shouldn't do that because that's so involved. And I don't want to spread myself too thin, you know. I don't want to spread myself too thin.
Yeah. I know. So, every week I've got a new idea, and I'm like, oh, I should do this. Oh, I should do that. And you know, we were just talking about if I've got so many things that I can't fit another thing, literally physically write it in my calendar. I don't need to be doing anymore. Don't need to be doing anymore.
There comes a time when you have to just say, you know, I'm just not able to handle that as a project. You know, you want to do everything, but you do. And the yarn line was the next thing I wanted to do. And then I thought, no, I don't believe I'm going to do that. It'll probably just be a product with my logo on it. And I'll, you know, just sell those on my Etsy shop. But mostly mostly my Etsy shop is about patterns. And you see something you like, and the pattern, a lot of times they're 10 or 15 pages long. So they're like buying a little book. But, you know, if you buy a little book and it tells you every move to make and places to mark off what you're doing. People and all that.
I need a pattern. And every pattern that I buy, I print that thing off and I write all over it.
I do the same thing. If I'm buying another designer's pattern, I will print it off and I mark it down. I mark through it. I highlight it. I do all kinds of things to that pattern. And that's when I find out if there are mistakes in the pattern, if there are things wrong in the pattern, if they are trying to tell me one thing and I'm doing another thing. That's what I try to avoid with mine. I try to explain everything that you need to be doing at the time you need to be doing it, you know.
And this is an Annie's pattern. And again, I'm no great shakes at crocheting. I've been reading patterns my whole life. And
I know what you mean.
I have to tell you, I'm trying to find it because I actually wanted to mention it. Now, where is that page? It had an instruction. I can't believe I can't find it because it's just the page before. So page 2. Where's page 2? Come on, where's page 2? There's page 3. Here's page 2. And this instruction, nope, that's the wrong one. But it said to crochet into the 3rd loop on the back of the stitch. And I had no idea what they meant.
I wouldn't know what that means. It means something different to everybody.
Right. And I looked it up and I looked it up and I'm watching videos and I can't figure it out. And finally, so with this particular pattern from Annie's, they've got a line of videos, but I often have a hard time getting to it and sometimes it won't play. So I finally gave up, went to the video. It's a back loop only crochet. Single crochet back loop only. Are you kidding me? Just say.
I heard of that as being the 3rd loop. I thought that might be the back bump, you know, how you go over the stitch.
And I was putting it in there and I'm like, this does not look anything like what the picture looks like. But I'm like, give me a break. It's a back loop only single crochet. Just say that. Don't make it more complex than it needs to be because that's how you lose crocheters.
Yeah.
And that's why I need somebody to show me stuff once in a while. But that was absolutely ridiculous. That was the most ridiculous. And, you know, this is supposed to be a teaching video, a teaching pattern where we're learning all these beautiful stitches. And I have really struggled with some of the terminology on this thing. And that's why we like your patterns, because they're easy to understand. They're easy
I try to tell things at least 2 ways, sometimes 3 ways, because people learn in different ways. Some people have to have a picture. Some people can picture it in their mind. Some people can read a sentence and understand it. And I don't write in cryptic form. I grew up reading crochet patterns that were very cryptic. They would put a whole sweater pattern on one page.
Yeah.
You know, sleeve, neck, this, that, and the other, you know, just decrease on each side as you're going up. You know, it's like, really? I mean, it's almost like a puzzle. And I don't want to spend time on a puzzle. I want to spend time crocheting and not have to frog everything out. And eventually I would lose interest in a pattern if it was too cryptic, you know, if it was just too many abbreviations in a row and they just expect you to understand what the first stitch is. Some people mean that very first stitch. Some people mean the next one. You know, it's not clear. It's rarely ever clear. And I always say the opening at the bottom of the chain 1. Okay, so I know where that is.
Now I know where we're going.
Is that the chain 1 stitch or is it the first single crochet stitch? Which one is it? And then you have to actually get all the way across the row and then you realize, oh, it must have been the other way because I'm 1 stitch.
Or 3 rows later.
3 rows later, you go, that doesn't look
right.
That doesn't look right. And so you frog it and you look at the instructions and they're not any more helpful the second time as they were the first time.
Right.
So I try not to do that. That's why mine are so long. I just try to explain everything out.
Wonderful. And I want a stitch count on every row. Tell me how many stitches I'm supposed to have so I know if I've messed up yet. Because many times, if I'd have known that I needed 137 instead of 136, guess what? That means this first stitch was supposed to have been here, not here.
Right. And here's the thing about my patterns, though. If you measure 22 inches across, you make your chain 22 inches, and you stretch it a little bit, make it 22 inches, and you go back and you single crochet a row and double crochet a row, whatever. You get to the end. All right. And if it's 22 inches, then you count your stitches because your next neighbor might need 23 inches.
Yeah.
I might need 25 inches. And so your stitch counts are always going to be different. So the stitch counts are for you. So if you determine you need 45 stitches across to get that measurement, then every row should have 45 stitches. And that's your stitch count. That way, if you don't go in the first stitch, but you do go in the last stitch, then you know you have 45 stitches. To me, that's more logical than telling somebody they have to have a certain number of stitches, and then if they don't have them, the measurement doesn't matter. You might be up to 25 inches before you make that stitch count. You see what I mean? So that's
yeah.
because mine are all wearables, they have to fit each person. It's not like a shawl. That's totally different. I understand stitch counts in a shawl or even in a blanket or something like that. But when you're making wearables, you have to be flexible about your stitch counts. And so I might say leave 6 stitches open here, but then your stitch count from there to the armhole is going to be different from your neighbor's. You see what I mean? So
because your patterns are based on inches and sizing, and a lot of people are doing that now. Darla, hers are all based on sizing, and so is Angela from My Precious Yarnery. Hers are all based on that same concept, which I love because just like you were saying, I can buy a pattern and it'll tell me how many stitches. Well, then it doesn't fit me because I'm a tight crocheter or I'm a loose crocheter. And so, you know, then you got to try to make gauge. And then that's a whole.
I'm not making gauge. I don't ever try to do that on somebody else's designer's pattern. If they say, you know, you should have 6 stitches to an inch, not happening. I mean, I might be loose stitching that day or tight stitching. And that's why knitting kind of scares me, because they say you've got to get gauge. Well, why don't we just get measurements? You know, I don't understand why it has to be a certain gauge. I guess because knitting is more complicated. I'm sure that it is. I can look at knitting and go, oh my goodness, look at that. You know, knit 1, purl 3, slip stitch, this, that, and the other thing. And it's different from double crochet across. How easy is that? You know, I try to make mine real easy, though. I don't make complicated patterns. But if I look at a knitting pattern and it says anything other than knit this and purl that, I'm just, I think, what? You want me to do what? And then I have to get gauge, which means that my stitches have to fit in this little measurement. And if they don't, you've got to start, you know, you've got to use a different needle size. And then, you know, I don't know. It just, to me, it's like crochet on steroids, you know. You know, you can change your crochet hook size. It's okay to get a bigger gauge if you want to. I mean, but it's all very blasé. It's all very, you know,
it's not as regimented.
It's not regimented. And so if I started knitting and I decided I wanted to write a pattern, it would always be like, you know, knit till you have 20 inches on your 3rd row. You know, if you've got the 20 inches going on, then just knit straight up. That's how I would do it. I'd probably be banned by the knitting company, by the knitting community. I mean, the knitting community would say,
you know, I'm just trying to think.
Give us a count.
I don't know that I've ever, and there are several crocheters that have patterns like that. I don't think that I've ever seen a knit pattern like that. They're much more regimented.
Yeah, I can understand that. And they'll say you don't have to get gauge because it might be a shawl. It might be
and a lot of things gauge doesn't matter.
Some kind of square. You don't have to get gauge. And I always think, well, I don't want to get gauge anytime. I don't want to ever have to get a gauge.
You know,
so I may not ever make anything on a sweater or anything like that. I would just be like the Jeanne style, which is just like, knit till you get about this wide, and then you knit straight up, and then I might be able to decrease. I don't know. What the heck? I'm sure I can do it. I just don't know how.
Knit 2 together. And then there's left slanting decreases, and there's right slanting decrease.
See, that you know, it's one of those head things that I need a full open brain for that, and I don't have that right now. Just my brain's full of stuff. You know, it's just covered up, full of stuff.
I know. We've got a bunch. They are throwing questions left and right on here. So
let me ask some questions before we go. I would love to answer questions.
A couple of questions, and I had one more before we got sidetracked again. How many hours a day do you get to crochet?
Between 2 and 5.
Oh, that's a nice
between two.
amount. Your hands don't get
That's
tired with the
yeah, they
longer
do.
day?
They
Yeah,
do. And
mine do
some
too.
days I wake up and I think, this is not a crochet day for me. Or I might
Mm-hmm.
be able to crochet a little bit, but not much.
Mm.
And I change if I'm working on two projects and I have different hooks, like a K hook and
Mm-hmm.
say a G hook. If those are totally different. I can
Yes.
work on the G hook for a while and then change to the K
And then
hook
switch.
project, and it uses different muscles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're grabbing differently when you grab, especially my left hand hurts
Mm-hmm.
just working the yarn through and grabbing.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so the right hand, not so much, but it's the left hand that gives me the most trouble because you're squeezing and letting go, squeezing and letting go, moving up your project. And so
My neck,
so,
this starts to hurt right there.
yeah, you have to be
I
so careful.
actually had to go to physical therapy last year because my shoulder had gone numb, and
Oh my goodness.
it ended up being the crochet hook I was using. And I
Really?
adore furls. I know you're a clover girl. I can't use
I'm a clover
clovers,
girl.
and I'll tell you
Yeah.
why. I'll tell you what. And I bought a whole set of clovers because everybody loves the clovers. They're too short for me. They hit my hand right.
Really?
They hit my hand
Yeah.
right there.
Right.
And I actually
Yeah.
end up getting a sore spot on my hand from using.
Oh
Now I can
my
use it.
goodness.
Yeah, because I get that. I'm holding it like this, and I get that just that little wiggle back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it hurts. I get a sore on my hand. I like the
Well, that's why
clovers.
there's so many different kinds of crochet hooks.
Yes.
There are
Yep.
so many. People love this one. They love this one. They love this one. And I've just found one that works great for me. But the furls,
that's what
I think, Cinnamon Stitches, Jennifer, she loves the furl hooks. She uses the big furl hooks because they're long. They're about this long.
And that's why I like them. Apparently, I've got a good hand. Who knew? But I can't use, and I'm bad with the names. They're beautiful ones. They're metal on the top, and they've got the beautiful colors on the bottom. Somebody in here will tell me what that name is. They're too heavy for me. And I have several of them, and I figured out, and you wouldn't think that an ounce or two would make that much difference, but 5 hours of this, an ounce or two makes a difference. So I only use the acrylic or the wooden ones now. I never use my beautiful, I have tried the prim, and I do like the prim as well because they're long. Yeah. But it's so funny. Do you ever do any crochet with thread, like we used to use with the?
I used to. When I first learned to crochet and read a pattern, I was making doily type things, table runners. My mom showed me how to do all that. And I did that for a long time, used the tiny little hooks. And, once I learned that it was more fun to crochet with bigger hooks and there were more choices for yarn, I moved into that category and I've never gone back. I just, to me, that's just too tiny. It's just too small. It makes too, I really shouldn't say I don't want to do that, but no, I don't do that anymore.
Takes longer.
And I always held it like a pencil. When I did that, I learned. Well, no, this one was, I hold it like
knife.
This.
They call this a knife. Yeah, I'm the knife.
I use it this way, like a knife, up and down, up and down, up and down. Yeah. I learned this way. And it was like this all the time.
Way more.
I survived that. I did all my thread crocheting with it like that I just showed you. And I've moved on from that. I use it like a knife now. It's just very, very little motion like that.
Yeah, there's not as much movement.
It's a lot easier on my wrist. And so, no, I don't do thread crochet anymore.
Okay, so let's do some questions. First of all, we had a big uproar in bingo last night because somebody said that they had watched your video yesterday and you said you were taking a break from crocheting from YouTube. But I think what happened, because you're not, right?
No.
Are you okay? Then this is what happened. I got the scoop, y'all. I can straighten this out. What happened was at the end of Jeannie's video yesterday, Cinnamon Stitch's video popped up, and she's the one that's taking a break. And it's only a week.
I didn't know that.
She's just taking a week off. That's all.
Oh,
and I'm like,
a week.
Cool, right? It's no big deal. She's taking a week off. So
No
we
big
all need to calm down. We're not losing Cinnamon. We're not losing Jeanne. Everything's going to be fine. But it was, you were a hot topic of conversation last night because we
Oh,
were very concerned that something had happened, that we were losing you. And so I immediately, after bingo last night, I immediately went and watched your video. And I'm like, she didn't say a word about leaving.
I
And
don't
then
remember saying that.
yeah, the same Cinnamon Stitches video popped up for me. And I'm like, oh, here it is. This is who's leaving. And it's just for a week. She's taking a week off.
Well, I think she was having a trouble getting excited about crochet there for a little while. I watched her videos a couple weeks ago, and she was talking about she had lost her Crojo, and I totally get that. I totally get that. You can just burn yourself right out doing it, and so maybe that's where she came up with taking a week off, and she probably needs to if she's feeling like that. Oh, I've lost your, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Oh no. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Oh no. Did you put me on mute?
Ta-da!
There you are.
I had bumped to mute my mic, and then I couldn't find my cursor to get it back over there to fix live TV. Okay.
I couldn't hear you.
I know.
You
I'm glad you
away,
could.
though. I don't know what you were saying.
Good thing I talk with my hands. So I own several of your patterns, and I have to admit I have not made one yet because I have the fear of the sweater. But I've even bought the yarn. My favorite one of your patterns is date night. I bought the yarn to make the date night pattern. It's all sitting over there nice and pretty. And every time you release a pattern, for those people who are, is it just your subscribers, or is it people that are subscribed to do you have a Facebook page? No, I'm confused.
I have Facebook, and I have a community as well. It's an email community that they get the first notice of the patterns. And so I sell a lot of them that way. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys, you need to go and sign up for all her things, because every time she puts out a pattern, it's on sale for those of us who are in the community. And I go in there every time she puts out a pattern, and I go, and I need this one, and I need this one, and I need this one. And look at this scarf pattern. Yeah. I always end up buying 3 or 4 of them every time you put out. So I've got quite a collection of your patterns. And one of these days I'm going to I have at least 15 of them, and I've never made a single one. I will. I will.
Goodness.
I want to
That's
make
all right. I collect patterns too. I've got file folders of other designers' patterns that I will make before I die, but they're all in a big stack. And I really want to make them all. I want to make them all. I just haven't.
We've got to make all the things. And so would you explain, just kind of give an overview, because people are afraid of wearables. Your whole process is different. So can you just give a quick overview on how one of your, I'm going to get my pattern and look at it for the first time. What am I going to expect to see?
Well, first of all, I tell people to read the pattern from front to back. Always read the 15 pages. What I sit down with a cup of coffee, read the whole thing. And you know where you're going to go, and you don't have to worry about, well, what am I going to do with my sleeves? Am I going to have long sleeves or short sleeves? Probably a good idea to decide all that before you start crocheting. And then
let me interrupt. One of the things that is different about your patterns is you almost always give us options. Do you want your neck a little higher? Do you want your neck a little lower? Do you want a cap sleeve? Do you want a half sleeve? Do you want a full sleeve? Do you want to make it longer in the waist? Do you want to make it shorter in the waist? That's the joy of your patterns. Okay, I'm done.
Well, it is. And I like to give everybody the option, especially of the length, and the neckline, because those are real important with a sweater. Most people complain, oh, this is too long, or oh, it's way too short, or it dips down too far on the neck, and I'm not going to wear it, and that's not what I'm after. I want somebody to make the sweater to fit them the first time. So when you measure yourself, you can measure yourself, and then you add the ease that you want. How much looseness do you want in your sweater? Do you want a tight sweater like a teenager would wear? No. When you get older, you want to wear things that are more comfortable, that don't cling to you. And so you want to add the ease in there. So you put your measurement in plus the ease, and then you chain up. Then you measure again, and then you do a couple of rows. And it's really best to measure again and hold it up to your hips from one seam to the other, and make sure that it reaches around and there's a little extra room. And then you can keep crocheting. You can keep going. And in your case, you would want to count the number of stitches. If you're not quite sure that your edges will be just right, want to be sure that you count the number of stitches for you. And then you just crochet up until where I say we'll start the neckline. And you decide that. You hold the piece of fabric up to yourself, and you say, do I want the neckline here? And I want it to be this long. So you can easily see where you want to start the neckline. And you start it a little bit lower because you're going to put an edging around. So I tell you how to do that, how to move over from the side and leave a certain number of stitches in the front for your neckline. If it's going to be a V-neck, a straight neck, a round neck, or whatever is in the pattern. And then you just crochet up and decrease like I show. And it's really easy to do. It's not difficult at all to do. Your decreases right along here. And then, you crochet to the shoulder. Now, this is a bottom up sweater I'm describing. And the back is really easy. A lot of times I'll do the back first. I get the back just how I want it, and then I make the front to match the back. But they just need to match along the side. And some of my patterns have the sleeve already crocheted in, like this one. This is the Dorothy sweater. Now, see, look at me going the wrong direction. There it is. This one, you crochet the sleeve right into the fabric. See, the fabric starts. Oh,
yeah. So it's crocheted sideways. Yeah.
Keep going. And then you have of course, you'll have a shoulder seam at that point. You'll have a shoulder seam. But it makes it, I'm going to step back and I'll show you what I mean. This one I made quite a bit longer than the original Dorothy. Was way up here. But this one I wanted a little bit more length on it. So I
like them a little longer.
And then I actually added 4 or 5 rows of rib at the bottom, which is also an approximate rib. You don't have to have a certain number of stitches there. You just kind of ad lib on the side where you start. But I made the neckline a little bit too low. So I had to go back and add some more rib to the neckline. And that's what I did with this one. And I'll show you up close. This is let me get over here where I can see it. Look at me. I can't figure that out. The rib starts right here. It's huge. And I started with this much rib right here. And then it was too low in the front. And so I added 1, 2, 3. I added about 4 rows of rib to that. Yeah. And it made a really long, look at me. There it is. I can't figure it out. There I am. It added a very wide rib to the neck, but I like it. It's different. It looks different and I like it. It's very stretchy too. I really like that about it. But anyway, this is one of my patterns that I made totally different the second time. I made it out of the same yarn. This is the Dottie yarn that I made it from. Let me get that over there. Look at me, another one. Dottie by Premier.
Pretty yarn. Yeah, that's their new one. I have some of their polka dot.
Yeah, what color is it? Almost like a brown.
Oh, okay, I can see that.
The background is an ivory, and then it has little speckles of brown and blue. It's actually got blue in it. So I'm wearing this with jeans. Yeah. It looks okay with jeans.
That would look really cute with jeans. That's darling.
Yeah. Anyway, the structure is very basic, back, front, sleeves. And, most of mine don't have the sleeves built in, but this one actually does, the Dorothy. And it does have the sleeves built in. And you can make a cap sleeve, which I did on my first one. But this one, I took it out quite a bit longer, almost down to the mid arm, and then I added the rib at the bottom. So everything is optional. Like you were saying earlier, Robbin, everything's optional in my patterns. And you can make it just like I did, or you can make it how you want it to be. And it's just, you make it out of any yarn you want, because we're using measurements. Again, any hook size, if you want it to be very loose and airy, you can upsize your hook. Or if you want it to be tighter, you can use a G hook. You know, I'm not a big fan of G hooks because they take so long to make something, but it's okay because then you can just slip it over your head and not have to wear a tank top under it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so many, and that's the other thing with crochet sweaters, the majority of them, you have to wear something underneath of it. And I hate that. I want to put something on and be done.
Yeah.
And, you know, layering.
Yeah, it's too hot.
And, you know, I've resigned myself to that with a lot of things. Well, with my Darla top for sure, I'd have to do that. But I knew that going in, and I'm, you know, so I'm fine with it. But, the majority of crochet tops, and every now and again, you'll have one of yours where, like this one, where you don't have to wear something underneath of it. And
I don't have a tank on under these. I don't have a tank on.
Yeah, that is so pretty. When you write out the instructions, is it a lot of abbreviated, or is it?
No, hardly any.
Hardly any.
I give a list of abbreviations that I use throughout the pattern, like slip stitch, you know, SLST, you know.
Right. So basics.
That's not hard. But
single SC, double DBL.
Right. And back loop only.
Back loop BLO, back loop only.
I always describe that in my abbreviation section so that you'll know what I'm talking about. And if I'm having a you know, a crazy stitch like the central, that's kind of a new one from me, but I've been using it in some of my patterns. It's called a central double crochet and a central single crochet, where you actually put your hook through the two legs of the stitch below instead of slipping under that top little V like you usually do. You drop down and you just underneath the V is where you go, and it's called a central whatever double crochet. And what it does, it makes it easier to crochet. For example, if you're using a very fat yarn, sometimes a central is much easier to find your stitches than trying to find that little V and you know, slip it under. And then it goes faster for one thing. And if you have a small hook, it makes the fabric fairly dense, so you don't have to wear something underneath. But you know, mostly I just crochet like normal, you know, because it's for beginners. I try to make my patterns beginner friendly. Every now and then I'll have a, you know, like a more adventurous beginner, but mostly they're just for beginners. And I don't use fancy stitches. I usually use just, you know, single, half, and double crochet in different, maybe on different rows. This one has rows on it, I believe. Let me get up here and look. Look at it. Oh yeah. See, some of the rows are just double crochet, and some are the, what is that called? Is that an X?
The V stitch or an X stitch across
the V stitch. Excuse me, I was thinking of X, but it's a V stitch. Couple rows of that, couple rows of double, and it gives it a nice look. It's something unique to look at rather than just all double crochet. Of course, I've been known to do that too. If you have a fancy yarn like a
busy yarn,
and this one really didn't need the fancy rows. It could have been totally all double crochet. It would have really have looked any different. But if you're using a speckled yarn or something, you don't need anything special. You just crochet the darn thing, and the whole yarn look is what gives it that special look, you know, if that's what you're looking for, which most of us are. You know, if you make something crocheted, and people will come up to me and say, did you make that? Yeah. And how many people make their own clothes? Very few.
Very few
people either sew them, crochet them, or knit them. I mean, it's so rare. Well, we're all finding each other on the internet.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
I hope that wasn't too long an explanation, but that's kind of how
that's exactly what we were looking for. So now this is something that I've wondered myself. I want to make a sweater for my daughter. And what is going to be the best way? And in fact, I made a sweater for my grandson. I was in Texas and he was in Washington. And I'll tell you what, I was terrified that I was going to be tearing apart that whole thing and reworking it when I got home.
Oh my goodness.
It fit him perfect. That was a fluke. But there was a lot of measurements going on. And he's up here with a metal tape measure, measuring on this arm. I'm like,
If you
no.
have the measurements, you should be able to make it just fine. I mean,
So
really.
if I want to make a sweater for my granddaughter, what's the base measurements that I need to put together?
You need her to measure, well, however long she wants it.
Mm-hmm.
Some girls like them at the waist. Some
Mm-hmm.
girls want it a little bit longer. So you say, how far down below your waist do you want this sweater to go? And then you have her measure side seam to side seam. All right. That gives you your hip measurement. And then you can add the ease to it, whatever you think is right. A couple inches, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't want to do a 6-inch ease or anything.
No.
A couple inches. And then she needs to measure from the bottom of the sweater, however long she wants it, up to the shoulder. All right.
Okay.
And then from the bottom of the sweater, you need to decide probably where her neckline would begin. That would be up to you. Maybe her. You can ask her if she's sophisticated enough to know what that means.
She's an adult, so.
Oh, she's an adult.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you meant like a 10-year-old.
I'm just saying in general, if I want to make a sweater for someone else, that, it's hard enough doing it for yourself and having it fit right, but to do it for someone else. So I need to know. And somebody said one time, and I actually did this with my grandson, was I said, take your favorite sweater out of the drawer, lay it on the bed, and give me these measurements. I need to know how wide it is. I need to know how long it is from the neck down. I need to know where, do you want a drop shoulder or do you want it to be up high, and how long on the cuff? And that's all I had to start with.
Well, that's good. That's basically all you need. Yeah, that's all you need. And if you're just making it from scratch, if your granddaughter doesn't have a sweater that she just loves, just get those measurements from her, and you can make it to those measurements. It's not difficult at all. It really isn't that difficult.
The bust,
you know what style you're going to make and all that. So
with taking
just
the girls into account, that's something that scares me. Also,
sometimes I do that. If you're heavily busted, you would want to add a little bit longer length in the front, and just that's and Glenda of Creative Grandma brought that up one time. She said that I addressed that, and I guess I did in a way, because you would make the front just a shade longer than the back, so that when you put it on, it hikes up in the front, obviously, because there's more under there. So you would want to make it a shade longer in the front. And if you're making a top down, I've also described how to increase at the bust line, so that you're not increasing in the back, you're just increasing in the front, and giving a little bit of extra width to your fabric, and then bring it on back in, after you finish that part. So about this much, you would, increase every other row for, 6 or 8 rows, and then decrease back down to your original stitch count. You can do that. There are a lot of things you can do if your body is not just kind of basically flat. Most of my patterns are just basically, just if you have a regular body. But usually, if you're heavily busted, you're also heavily hipped. And so that measurement will take care of the bust line. The hip measurement will take care of the bust line.
That's me. And I used to have a waistline in there. Now I've got an extra roll.
Hey, I'm built like a tree trunk. I don't have that, pretty
hourglass figure,
which only lasted about that long.
Right?
Went away.
I remember I always thought, I never thought I had a cute figure, ever, ever, ever. And somebody somewhere came up with a picture for me when I was about 14, and I'm like, oh, I guess I did have a cute figure at one point in my life. I didn't last long.
You do start out that way, and eventually it just kind of grows, and
it evens out with the shoulders.
Large waist. So I've always had the basic tree trunk figure, because that's just the way I'm built. Yeah. And so, when I'm on a diet, the whole thing just shrinks down like that. I don't get much of a waist. It just all kind of shrinks a little bit.
You just get from a trunk to a limb.
Right. Trunk to a limb. That's what you're going for, I guess.
Oh my goodness. If somebody is buying one of your patterns for the first time, what would you recommend to be a good first sweater pattern to try out?
I like the plain Jane tee, and I designed that very, very beginning crochet. You can make that, and it looks good the first time you make it. I promise you can make that one. And that's what I would suggest. I made that plain Jane tee 3 or 4 times in different size yarns and different hook sizes and all that. And it works out great every time. So, you can pick your yarn and hook and just go to it. That's what I would do. It's not hard to do. It's really not.
Yeah.
And it's a good basic pattern. So you kind of see where I'm going with my designs. You can see it's a little bit more complicated. If you've made a plain Jane, you'll be okay.
Mm-hmm. That is a great pattern. And I own that one as well.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yes.
Good for you.
Yes, I actually do. And that's a nice one because if I'm remembering correctly, that's one where you can easily add some color work to it to switch up the style
all kinds of things with it.
Yeah. So I would suggest y'all go to her video and watch several different sweater videos to get an idea of how she creates the different styles. And with the Plain Jane tee, and that's the cool thing about her videos. She'll show you, she'll go, I did this and this, but this time when I made it, I added this and I changed that. And her patterns are very fluid. They're not
so much. That's so sweet. I didn't know anybody cared.
Oh, yes.
I get a few comments here and there, but I'm glad people can understand. I see them on Facebook. I do. I have to say this. I see pictures on Facebook of people's sweaters who have used my designs and have made their sweaters. Some of them look totally different. I can tell it's the same design, but they used a different yarn and they used a different hook. They made it longer or shorter. And it's just amazing how people are so creative. And my idea is for you to design your own sweater. This is for Robbin only. This is my sweater. Nobody else has one like it. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to get y'all to do, is to be more creative, because crochet is easier to be creative than, I'm sure, knitting, unless I'm just saying that off the wall. I don't know. I don't knit. But crocheting is easy to design of your own, and you can get very sophisticated patterns. But if you don't measure into that particular size, you can have a disaster on your hands and have spent many hours making something that will not fit. Doesn't look good on you.
Right. And I've bought patterns, and this is annoying also. I have bought patterns where it'll say size inclusive, and I'll get the darn thing and it'll go up to an extra large. And I'm like, seriously?
That's not size.
No information on how to make it bigger. And I've contacted pattern designers and I said, hey, this is not size inclusive. And I either need to know how to do this or I want a refund, because this pattern is of no use to me. Of course, I never get a refund, but at least
inclusive. Yeah, I have had people contact me who made specifically the Plain Jane tee on, just because that's what they bought, in a 4X. And they said it fit them perfect. It's because they took their measurements. When you make a 4X on a pattern, you don't know if it's going to be a small 4X or a plenty bigger 4X, how much ease is in that pattern. A lot of times you have no idea. They just say, well, make a 4X. And they give you one measurement. They say your measurement this, and then the rest of it's just supposed to fit. I mean,
and I'm a 2X because of the girls. And so then everything is huge baggy on me, the rest of it.
Right.
And so it's very annoying. It's very
annoying. I totally agree. I'm just trying to get, I'm trying to get people to crochet for themselves in a something they can put on and be proud of and wear. That's besides a cowl, a shawl, a poncho. I mean, not there's anything wrong with those, because
I do a lot of those. But the other good thing is, because of the way you design a pattern, I can pull from my stash. I don't have to go buy that exact yarn, because it doesn't matter, for the most part. It doesn't matter what yarn I use. I can use a 3-weight and adjust it. I can use a 4-weight, maybe even a 5-weight, because there's some thin 5-weights. And as long as my measurements come out right and the feel of the fabric is okay, go for it.
It's up to you. What looks and feels good to you is how you should make the whole sweater. You can make it if you have fabric that you really like. You maybe make a swatch, and that's the only time I really recommend a swatch, is if you're you're doing a like 2 sizes different in yarn, you might want to do a swatch and just see if you can see through it, for one thing. If you're trying to make a fabric that's dense, you know, you have to drop back on your hook size. And when I make a swatch like that, I will just continue to crochet. I'll change to a, you know, 2 sizes smaller hook and crochet 2 or 3 rows, and I can see immediately if it's going to be the right see-through value, you know, if you want to have a thick fabric. So that also helps if you pull from your stash. I pull from my stash all the time. I'll say, this is a DK. It looks like a 4. I'm going for it. So that's kind of how I design stuff. I just look at that and I go, well, I think I'll make a so-and-so out of that knit crepe fabric, which is, I mean, yarn, which I dearly love. I have a sweater quantity of a lot of that knit crepe, and it's just sitting there saying, make me,
work with me, work with me,
work with me.
And that is one of the positives with your patterns, is I can use a very nice special yarn, or I can pull from my Joann's Big Twist that I got for $1.99 last Christmas. You know, it doesn't.
I totally agree with that. Yeah, I've made a lot of things out of yarn that I got on sale that might be $2 a ball, and it looks fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I like luxury yarn, I guess, because it is it's a little bit easier to crochet. Honestly, I find it to be
it is sometimes
a little smoother, a little softer, you know, a little bit more. It just feels better, like a cashmere sweater, which I've never owned in my life, but I have seen them in stores. If you feel like cashmere, and then you feel just a superwash merino, totally different, but they're beautiful.
And yet,
beautiful.
A superwash merino is phenomenal compared to
an acrylic. I'm not loving acrylic. This is 100% acrylic, this sweater, and I really like it. But I just ordered it on a fluke, and I decided I wanted to try it. I didn't find it at Joann's. I think I ordered this off Premier because I watched Cinnamon Stitches one day, and she was raving about Premier. She loves Premier yarn.
She loves Premier.
If I want to know something about Premier, I'll go to her website. I mean, I'll go to her YouTube channel, and up at the top where it says search, I type in whatever yarn it is that I'm looking at, and she has a whole video about it. It's great. You know, she talks about the good and the bad and the ugly. So,
and Glenda does a lot of work with the Premier stuff as well.
Yeah.
She's the one where I saw the
affiliate for a long time. I don't know if she still is or not, but she was working with Premier, and what a great thing to do. I mean, even if you just do it for 6 months, you know, it's I've never worked with a yarn company, so I don't know.
Well, me either. That ain't never happened.
It frees us up to do whatever we want, though.
Exactly. So somebody's asking, of course, the name of your Etsy store, and it's just On the Hook.
On the Hook by Jeanne, Jeanne. They go there and they can find it. And usually I have a link to it in my description box below all my videos. You can find it there as well.
Okay. I'm just zipping through here. I think we've answered. So yes, the IVB Creates. IVB Creates, if you have not seen her pattern, it's across the room. She's got a phenomenal top pattern that is kind of a I don't think it's gone viral, but it's flying all around the world of crochet, and it's called, what's it called, IVB? Wild something wild. Do you remember? Where's the clip? Wild and Free. Wild and Free is the name of
the top. It's just
the name of the pattern. And
Wild and Free top. Is that what you call
Wild and Free top. And her name is Ivy, capital B, and the word Creates. IVB Creates. It's a little hard to find the actual pattern. Show from your computer. See, this thing's talking to me now, and I wasn't doing anything. I was sitting over here in the corner.
You were very innocent, and it was.
I was. Why can't I find the clipboard? Do you see the clipboard, Morgan? Because I know I've got that pattern sitting in. I'm looking at all the normal places that the clip. Oh, that's because Morgan has it. Okay.
It's a crochet top pattern.
Yeah, it's a crochet top pattern.
All right, I've got it right
She's
here.
on Rover now? Okay.
Wild and Free crochet top
Oh, here, look at this. I opened right to it. So there's the pattern. This is what it looks like. And it's just adorable.
Okay. I think I
And
may have found it. Yeah. Wild and Free. Let's see. There's some videos and tops. Yeah, I'll look through it
yep.
and see.
Yeah, it's a fun one. It's a fun one. Okay.
Wild and Free. I like the name.
Yeah, yeah. Sabrina's asked if you do a video for knitting. She doesn't knit. She wants to learn to knit. So no, she doesn't have any
videos on that. I can't teach anybody anything on the knitting, but you know, we'll see. I want to start it. I really do.
Yeah. So I've got someone saying yes. There, you do the same thing with knitting. You can just go by measurements. You don't have to do gauge. Just knit it and track down what you're doing.
I'm ready for that.
Yep. KB, who's a very good knitter as well, says yarn professionals are expected to get gauge, but and different publishers will require that.
They do. They require it in crochet patterns too. And I don't do that. So nobody's approached me to put patterns in, publications like Crochet World. And I would never make it because everything I do is by measurement. And that's not what they want. They want stitch counts and gauge.
Yeah. Somebody's asking if there's a guide for garment measurements. There is. I have seen it. And if you look at, Karen's going to yell at me because I can never remember the name of it. Crochet Society of America. Is that it, Karen? They've got, if you go in there, they've got charts and all that kind of stuff. That's why I know that I'm a 2X in crochet patterns. If you follow the official guides,
you have to follow the official guide though. If you're a crochet pattern designer and you're not constrained to that particular size measurement combination, how they do, they put out an official list, but if you don't follow that, then your patterns aren't going to fit
right
according to the Crochet Society of America. They do have a list out, but I don't use that because I don't size my patterns.
Good garment patterns. That's why I really, like I said, I think if you guys pop over to Jeannie's Etsy, and here's my Etsy is not my favorite, and I'll tell you why. It's the silliest thing ever. I can never download a pattern that I have purchased from Etsy. You cannot download a pattern from a cell phone that you have purchased from Etsy. And I can't download a pattern from my tablet because you have to use a computer and go into their website. You can't download a pattern if you've used their app, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
And
I thought that if you had an email address, they would download it, the PDF to your email address.
Nope. You have to go to their website. You cannot use their app, which is the most ridiculous thing ever. I have bought several patterns that I've never been able to access.
Oh my goodness.
And so last night, because I had just bought a mosaic that I want to start for Christmas. And so I dug up my computer and found it on there and was able to
find it in downloads. There's a downloads file that it should go right into the downloads file. You double click it. And then I save it to, to another spot. I always save it to crochet patterns. I think I have a folder there.
Yep.
And that's what I do with that. But
cannot do that. And it'll even say that in the instructions. It says that if you go to their frequently asked questions, I can't download my thing. And it'll say, you can't download it from the app. You have to do it. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And that's the only reason.
Etsy.com. Is that how you do it? And you have an account there. And that's where they download it too, I guess. So you can double click it and print it from there, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if I have an option, if anybody, and a lot of people have it both on Etsy and Ravelry, I always go to Ravelry. And that's the reason why. But that aside, go to your Etsy shop, buy a pattern, and try doing it by the measurements, because I, like a lot of you guys, and Jennifer and I were in the same boat. We made this first top together. She got hers done already. Because we were afraid to try making a wearable. And so I think you're going to find using Jeannie's patterns that it takes the fear factor out of making a wearable.
Thank you so much. Yes, that's the whole idea behind it is to take out the fear. You know, just plunge ahead and see what happens.
Yep. And Patricia Davis, she's making your Dorothy pattern right now.
Very nice. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Cheryl. Cheryl downloaded, put a link in here for your plain Jane tee, which I can't wait to make that one. I really like that one.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun. I think I made it from a, it was a cake. Oh my goodness. I forget what, it was a mandala cotton or something. And it was just so much fun to make. And then I made it over and over and over. I just made it several times in different size yarns. Yeah.
So that's interesting. You will make, well, obviously, because we've seen you do it, you will make the same patterns over and over. And a lot of people absolutely will not. You make something one time and that's it.
Oh, no. Mine are designed to make more than once because there are a lot of options in there. Not always a lot of options. I try to do that more often now, to put in more options on, you know, sleeve sizes and actually sleeve links and edgings and stuff like, you know, you can put different edgings on your sweaters, and of course a different yarn and a different hook size. That makes all the difference right there. And the colors, you know, if a speckled yarn, a solid yarn, a tonal yarn, all of those matter. All those matter when you're making something. You can make something look totally different. It's the same exact pattern. You know, just your yarn choices and, you know, your options that you do during the making of the pattern, you know, making of the pattern. So
it's amazing. It is amazing, the variations that and even just sleeve lengths, sleeve size. And I have done that. I have looked at people's patterns and I'm like, that is horrible. And then you'll go like on Ravelry, and they'll show you all the different people that have made it, and you go, oh, well, in this blue, it's really pretty. But I saw a lady one time, and I have no clue who it was or what pattern it was or anything, but it was a sweater, and it was like the body was like canary yellow with bright green sleeves, and I'm like, that's the most horrible sweater I've ever seen in my life. And then I saw it done in complete different colors. I'm like, oh, okay, it's different. It's different.
Color matters. It matters a lot.
Color matters, absolutely. Oh my gosh. So what pattern do you have coming out next?
I have my fall lookbook coming out.
It's got
5 patterns in it, as far as I can tell right now. I think that's what I'm going to stop it at. I've made one of the patterns twice, totally different, but it'll be the same pattern. And there are a couple in there that are very easy accessories that you can make for Christmas, and then a jacket and a couple other surprises. So I just wanted to tell you, I'm coming out with that on the 15th. That's my goal. I hope to make it. I've got to get really quickly finished with the patterns. I've started them all, but I haven't finished them all. Make sure that I have all the details right, and I always read them over and over and over again in my mind, crocheting, to make sure that I haven't made any mistakes. And then that'll be out on the 15th, and it'll be coming out as a package.
Okay.
And then either then or eventually I'll, you know, put them on my on my Etsy shop as one-ups, you know, one-offs if you want to buy one, or you can buy the whole package, and it'll be at a very big discount. So
yeah. Do you have a rough idea of what the price point on that's going to be?
No.
Okay. So it'll be a surprise.
And I really don't. I figured it out one time, and I didn't. I thought, you know, I don't know. I really don't. I'll be talking about that more on my video, probably Monday. I'll probably have a little bit more.
The 15th isn't that far away.
I know. It's
next Wednesday, I think.
Yeah, it's a week from this. From tomorrow or the next day. Yeah. So I'll probably, I may not make I'll be gone the next week. And so I won't be around to do it. And so it may be the last week in September. And I hate to push back like that, but I don't want to throw something out there that's not right.
It's got to be right.
So I'm not doing that. So
we'd rather wait a week than
you may have to. See, I'm still working on 2 of the projects. I'm still
Oh my goodness.
finishing them up, and I'm writing notes as I'm going along. So I just
Mhm.
write the pattern after I'm finished with it. But
Yep.
I'll see how much I can get done. Yeah, a
So
week isn't very long, is it? I'm probably not
Nope.
doing that right.
No, it is not. So you've got that coming out, and then you've got the sale going on your bags right now. And does that just last until they're gone, kind of deal?
Until they're gone, or September 15, whichever
Okay.
happens first. And I'm already almost out of the azalea pink bags.
That's so
My
pretty.
husband just came in and told me, he says, yeah. Um, I have quite a few pink bags left over. I think I have some light pink bags left over, and then the stone wash are almost gone as well. So
Yeah, those are beautiful. They're all beautiful.
if you want one, go ahead and get it.
I will.
I don't think I'll have to put them on sale again. I think I'll sell out. I'm pretty sure.
Probably. Most likely. Most likely. Well, goodness, we have been on here for 2.5 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's 1:30. Oh, what time is it? Is it 1:30? Oh dear. Well, it looked like that. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Are there any other questions I need to answer?
Are there any other questions real quick before we let this poor lady go? She probably is chomping at the bit to get out of here.
I could be working on my patterns, Robbin.
I know.
That's right. I've enjoyed talking to everybody. And I hope my On the Hook people came and said hello. I can't read that far away. I
know. It's awful. It's awful. I get some new people in here every time I come on. I see some new names that I haven't seen before, and I really appreciate that. And again, I want to apologize that with that drawback of having to subscribe in order to comment, and it's to keep the trolls under control. And I'm always afraid we're going to get the trolls in here, and we did real good again today. So I think that has helped tremendously. No trolls today.
Awesome. I didn't see any, but then I wasn't looking. I can't read the names. I can read them if I scrunch up right like that.
I know. I do the same thing. I'm always doing this, and Mr. will go, "You look terrible when you do that." Yeah, but I can see it. So thank you so very much for coming on. And I know when we connected, you said you'd never done a live, and you did it like a duck to water, no problem.
Well, I've enjoyed it. I like talking. Good. I'm a chit chatter, I like.
Oh, me too.
And I like to talk about my crochet hobby. I just dearly love it. Been doing it for 50 years. I'm just actually just a crocheter, honestly. I would like to add on, like I do my diamond painting. I do have added that on to my hobby list, and I do want to learn to knit so that I'm not just in the dark all the time about knitters. I watch a lot of knitting channels too.
They're wonderful.
Really have enjoyed some of them. They're very, very good. They're very, very good. They show so many beautiful things, and I think, I'd love to make that like it. And you have to be inspired to start something. So it's a good thing for me to be inspired as well.
Yep. I really like, for some reason, I'm drawn to knit hats. So
I love them too. And they're so beautiful. Some of them, all that cabling and beautiful color work and all that. I'm not all that good at cables on crochet. I think it's more of a knit thing.
I did, that sweater I made for my grandson had cables all down the front, and I'm like, eek. It was so simple. It was so the most important thing. It was way easier than cables on knit, because with cables on knit, you literally take your stitches off, put it on a different hook,
you have to put them on something different,
and then come and put these back. And there's people, they just let them drop. They don't even put them on a hook, and I'm like, that ain't happening.
Oh my goodness,
that's not happening. But the important thing with cables on crochet is count. Make sure you've got, because there was a couple times I didn't get all 3 of my little stitches on there, and 3 rows down, you can see this big hole. So tear it all out.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was fun to do the cables. I enjoyed that a lot. And, I made myself a list of questions to ask you, and I didn't ask hardly any of them. So we're going to have to do this again sometime.
Okay, that's fine. That sounds like fun.
Sometime when you don't have a deadline to put out a book.
Really? Also, let me know when you're doing the mosaic.
Oh, yes, I will.
And you can buy any size of
any size
cosmetic bag or something like that, as long as it has a zipper at the top.
I can reach mine. This is the size that we're going to do, just so it's not an overwhelming size of a project.
That's
So
like 6-inch zipper, maybe.
yeah, just your basic little notions bag. My crochet hook fits in here, so it's a
Okay.
little longer than a crochet hook. And you
Okay.
think I'd have a tape measure right handy, but of course
But
not.
that makes it practical if a crochet hook fit in it. I mean, otherwise, what good is it to a crochet?
Right.
You know.
Exactly. And yeah, so my crochet hook fits in here just fine. And so that gives you a
Okay.
rough idea how big this is.
And where
But yeah,
did you
they got
get
them
it?
at
Hobby Lobby?
Hobby Lobby, Dollar Tree, dollar stores. But
Okay.
Hobby Lobby has them. They had them on an end cap by where they do the paint on fabric stuff. But I
Okay.
think if you ask anybody.
Yeah. Okay. I might pick one up and then I'll join you all on that.
Fun. I'm gonna be doing a video in theory tomorrow about the supplies you need, and the first one, well, you may not make it because the first one is going to be next Wednesday, the 14th, 15th, and I know you're a little
I may
busy.
not be able to do that one. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
I can always go back and watch the replay, right?
You can do the replay, and the gal who's teaching it is Michelle's Mosaics and More. She is amazing. If you've got questions, you can connect with her and figure it right out. But probably you should watch one of our first videos so you get a rough idea of how to do the actual mosaic, unless you already know how to do that. If you know how to do the Apache tears, then you're golden. But you know, even without it,
I mean, I'd have to watch somebody do it again. I don't think I could do it online.
I think you'd probably pick it up pretty darn quick. It was so easy.
Okay.
So anyway, I thought I saw like Cheryl, she's amazing too. She says you can use an old pencil case if you can't find. That's a great idea. Then it would be, you could wipe it out on the inside.
Plastic
I
on it.
love that idea.
Yeah, because you're really sewing onto the zipper. Zipper's
That's
always
exactly what you're doing.
so,
And because you need a sharp, just a darning needle, one of the metal ones, not the plastic ones, because that's what we poke through the zipper with.
Okay.
And you need just a little bit of yarn, just some cheap yarn. And I used maybe 100, no, not even 100 yards when we did our first project. So you need a little bit of contrasting color. So 2 colors. These are my 2 colors. And I'm
Does it have to be cotton yarn?
Anything you want. I used acrylic.
Okay.
Just whatever you got hanging around, a little bit of. And 2 colors, probably not dark because we want to be able to see what we're doing. And that's kind of
2 medium colors, contrasting colors. Okay, I'm sure I've got something over my stash.
Yep, I'm sure you do. Your thing and your needle, and that's kind of it.
All right. I'll pick one up. I've got to go out in this afternoon. I may pick a couple. It may make up 10. I may pick up 20. You know,
that's how I roll. I learned how to do something. Everybody's getting one.
Everybody's getting one for Christmas. Of course, they need to be crochet worthy.
That's right.
Don't forget. That's very, very, very important.
Yep.
Otherwise, just find something at the, on Amazon.
In the Goodwill. Yeah. My one of the grands said something to me, and I never would have considered this person to be crochet worthy. And recently she said something to me, and she said, I did not appreciate how much work was involved in the things you make until I tried doing it myself.
That's right.
She said, I really appreciate the things that you gave us. And, before it was just a hat we throw in a drawer. And
that's so rewarding when you hear that.
It was nice to hear. Yeah, that was nice to hear. So I'm going to let you go. You poor thing. You're probably sitting there with your legs crossed.
Well, I just need to go eat some lunch. Mr. On the Hook has been waving to me. And I thought he always makes lunch.
Mr's always handing me. I'm like, I'm on a live. This is not lunchtime for me.
Always busy.
We'll talk to you later. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And
Thank you, Robbin. Appreciate you having me on. Thanks for everybody joining up too and chatting online. I appreciate it. If I had any people from On the Hook, I'm glad that you came. I'm glad that you came.
And I know a few of my people have popped over and joined yours and are looking at your patterns too. So
good. Thank you so much. Thank you, Robbin. Thanks for having me, and I'll see you sometime soon.
Yes, absolutely. Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.